The man has become the big villain in A. But every day, he's either stealing his beautiful master's stockings or flirting and taking advantage of his junior sister because the system promised that as long as he played the role of a disgusting villain well, he could ascend to immortality. From then on, he'd roam the infinite worlds. So, for over a decade, he's diligently fulfilled his role as the villainous senior brother as his destined path, until he learned that the original owner, Yi Chen, would fail after going up the mountain tomorrow. Ling Xiao couldn't help but feel ecstatic, because according to the original storyline, he would be trampled on by the protagonist. Meanwhile, the male lead, Yi Chen, would soar to great heights, winning the hearts of 3 junior sisters, and even capturing the beautiful master into his harem. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao couldn't wait to get his face right up to Yi Chen's. He wanted to finish playing the villain as soon as possible. Once the script was done, he could escape the suffering and finally present it. Suddenly, at that moment, a call from his junior brother came from outside the door. It turned out that today it was his turn to clean the room for his master. Ling Xiao immediately felt a sense of clarity in his heart. Uncle Yuan was going to clean the master's room himself. He couldn't resist stealing his master's stockings and hiding them in his pocket. The next day, after losing a duel to Yi Chen, the beautiful master's spirit insect pulled them out. His reputation was ruined from then on. He was even cut off from his spiritual roots and expelled from the sect. But to maintain his villain persona, Ling Xiao radiated an aura of world-destroying power. It's just stealing a sock, right? He then patted him. Ling Xiao encountered along the way. He consumed most of his true essence. Finally arrived. Heavenly Principle. This place is indeed Master Xiao Honglin's residence. According to the original plot, Xiao Honglin should be in closed-door meditation at the Lotus Cave beneath the waterfall at this moment. After recalling the plot of the novel, Ling Xiao, he decisively pushed open the door. What came into view was a pair of snow-white, pure silk stockings. Ling Xiao is really such a pervert. There really are people who like this. Ling Xiao cursed inwardly. In the end, he still tucked the stockings into his pocket. But just as he held the beautiful master, the silk stockings in his hand, a gentle, fragrant aroma suddenly wafted in. Ling Xiao's heart stirred involuntarily. At the same time, images of his master's long, snow-white, exquisite legs unconsciously surfaced in his mind. In that moment, he seemed to understand a bit of the original work. Suddenly, Ling Xiao fell into thought. The voice of the dog system echoed in his mind. Congratulations, host, on completing the current storyline. Physical aptitude increased by 30%. Spiritual understanding increased by 30%. The low-grade wood spiritual root has automatically evolved into an innate hidden wood spiritual root. Isn't it said that once the script is completed, I can ascend to immortality? Why are there rewards during the process? Could it be that I'm meant to defy fate and change the protagonist's destiny? Ling Xiao suddenly felt speechless. But fortunately, the plot has reached this point. Now all he has to do is wait for tomorrow's protagonist, Yi Chen, to come and slap him in the face. What Ling Xiao doesn't know is that his beautiful master is currently hiding behind the screen. Xiao Heir, since you have such feelings for your master, why didn't you reveal your intentions earlier? As long as you like her, not to mention just a pair of stockings. Thinking of this, Xiao Hong's eyelashes drooped slightly, and a hint of crimson brushed across her face. After returning from the Heavenly Maiden Cliff, Ling Xiao pretended to scold a few junior disciples from the outer sect. While passing by the bathing area of the junior sisters, he casually set up a capture stone. He was diligently fulfilling his duties as a villain. But unexpectedly, after some idle time, he unexpectedly received another reward from the system. That's really absurd. But it doesn't matter. Right now, he just wants to finish the story quickly and go home for a break. Before he knew it, it was late at night. Ling Xiao was lying in bed, preparing to rest. But suddenly, a gentle girl's voice came from outside the door. It was his third junior sister, Chu Yue. Ling Xiao jolted on the bed. Tomorrow, the protagonist Yi Chen is coming up the mountain. The original story didn't say he'd come looking for me in the middle of the night. After playing the villain for so many years, it's not easy finally getting the protagonist here. He doesn't want any mistakes in the plot at this critical moment. But looking back at the original book's Chu Yue, even though Ling Xiao took advantage of her repeatedly, she never truly hated him. Even when Ling Xiao ended up disgraced, she was the only one who pleaded for him. In the words of a past life, she is definitely a treasure girl. Perhaps she'll get slapped in the face by Yi Chen tomorrow. He is no longer the brilliant senior brother he once was. It's better to meet one last time. To maintain his villain persona, Ling Xiao forced a lewd smile. One hand skillfully slid toward his junior sister's face. Having played the villain for over a decade, his acting skills were already top-notch. Unexpectedly, Chu Yue not only didn't flinch or dodge. Instead, she moved her waist and actively leaned into his embrace. She even looked both delighted and shy. Ling Xiao suddenly felt a tingle on his scalp. At that moment, he was really panicking. What he feared the most was any deviation in the plot. Moreover, Chu Yue was clinging to Ling Xiao's arm, acting cute. She invited him to accompany her down the mountain tomorrow morning to cultivate their bond. Ling Xiao could hardly believe it. The third junior sister, who had always been cautious and guarded around him, was now acting so differently. But he had plans tomorrow to put the protagonist, Yi Chen, in his place. He was afraid he couldn't enjoy this beautiful junior sister's company. After returning to bed, Ling Xiao is getting seriously creeped out. Something's off about this third junior sister's character. This part of the plot was never mentioned in the original work. If Chu Yue really came to invite Ling Xiao in the dead of night, given his pervy nature, he would definitely agree without hesitation. And once they head down the mountain to Chifeng City, they would just miss Yi Chen on the mountainside. The first show-off and face-slap scene is over. I really don't get it. I hope Yi Chen can make us proud tomorrow. Please don't blow the chance again. But Ling Xiao doesn't know that. Gu Yue intentionally broke the string to take her away from this mess. Even the junior sister Lu Yinyin from Shenlan Peak, who possesses the Jade Beast spiritual body, was secretly plotting overnight on how to assassinate Yi Chen in secret, because they had long known everything about the future from a prophetic dream. That man surnamed Yi not only killed the senior brother, but also brought about the demonic calamity, causing the Qinglan sect to be slaughtered. The next day, Ling Xiao was already waiting at the mountain gate early in the morning, because the next part of the story, it was his turn to have a chance encounter with junior sister Li Yecheng on the way up the mountain. Then, out of jealousy, he angrily scolded the two of them. So, he quickly started brewing his emotions, ready to perform at any moment. Is there any villain in the world more dedicated than him? Meanwhile, on the mountain path leading to Qinglan sect, a young man and woman were walking side by side under the sunlight. Miss Yingying, I've seen countless beauties in my life, but you are the most unique one, Yi Chen said softly, his face gentle. What he didn't expect was Lu Yinyin looked full of suspicion. She even took a few steps back warily, with a hint of hostility, then pretended not to hear. He directly asked, young Master Yi, are you certain you want to join our Qinglan sect? Tomorrow happens to be our sect's triennial disciple selection ceremony. Do you have a preference for any master? The head must confirm now whether Yi Chen, as foretold, will choose to join Shenlan Peak. If that's the case, he finally had the chance to approach Yi Chen to torment him to death. Just as Yi Chen was hesitating, suddenly a loud congratulatory shout came from ahead. Ying, how dare you bring a stranger up the mountain without permission, and even get so close to him? Do you even regard me, your senior brother? Seeing this man, who looked like a god, Lu Yingying's heart raced. The senior brother really appeared just like in the script. He showed up right at this moment. It's just a pity that the version of myself in that script is unattainable. I actually fell in love with a scumbag like Yi Chen. Instead, I overlooked this rare extraordinary man in the world. Seeing the junior sister staring at him, Ling Xiao's eyelids suddenly twitched. It feels like something's off with the plot. Isn't he supposed to protect Yi Chen behind him and come up to save me? Could it be that, like the third junior sister, the character of the fourth junior sister has also become problematic? But just as he was lost in thought, something happened that took his breath away. He saw Lu Yinyin finally unable to contain her emotions. She unexpectedly rushed over and buried herself in Ling Xiao's arms. Looking at Lu Yinyin, who had leaped into his embrace, Ling Xiao instantly felt his scalp tingle. It's important to know that among the three junior sisters, he was most infatuated with Yi Chen. He also held the greatest hatred towards the villainous senior brother Ling Xiao. However, since the heroine was not following the script, this malicious male supporting character must keep up the act. Ling Xiao suddenly shoved Lu Yingying away. A flash of venomous coldness appeared in his eyes. Who exactly is this person? Don't force your senior brother to lose it. But unexpectedly, after hearing this reprimand, Lu Yingying wasn't intimidated. Instead, her eyes were filled with flirtation. It seems like someone is suppressing something. When the senior brother saw me with another man, he got so angry. Doesn't this mean that I am the person he cares about the most? So what the script says is that the senior brother secretly installed the recording stone in the bathhouse was actually just to watch me and not to observe other events. After noticing something was off with the recording, Ling Xiao couldn't hold it in any longer. Well, I've finished reciting my lines. If I stay here any longer, who knows where the plot will go next? A wise man avoids immediate losses. I should leave quickly. Ling Xiao forced himself to maintain a cold expression. After throwing down a harsh remark, he flew away on his sword. On the way as Ling Xiao was escaping the scene, a series of system prompt sounds echoed in my mind. Congratulations, host, on completing the current character storyline. Since your storyline completion level is assessed as S, you will receive an additional reward of 100 years of cultivation. Your cultivation level has been raised from foundation establishment to mid-stage innate. What the hell is going on here? In the original work, this scumbag Ling Xiao only reached early stage innate by the time he committed suicide. The Shenyuan peak has completely turned into a mess. And just as Ling Xiao left, Yi Chen began his endless mockery. You, the great senior brother, what a grand presence you have. I wanted to exchange a few moves with him, but unexpectedly, he wisely slipped away. But he hadn't finished speaking yet. A slap came without reservation. Yi Chen was stunned by the hit. He stared blankly at the girl in front of him. He could feel a terrifying aura radiating from her. She resembled a bloodthirsty hell witch. There was no trace of her earlier delicate cuteness. Watching her retreating figure, Yi Chen couldn't help but grit his teeth in hatred. This young master of the Azure Blue sect, I am determined. That woman will also have to submit beneath me. As the chosen one of destiny, his true trump card has not yet been revealed. At the same time, a graceful figure has quietly approached the mountain gate. It is Guo Yulong, the second disciple under Xiao Honglin. And he has only one purpose for this journey. No matter whether the script in his mind is true or false, he must kill Yi Chen to turn the wheel of fate and save the one he loves, Master Ling Xiao. But when he saw Yi Chen was about to make a move, he suddenly sensed that there was another woman hiding in the grass less than 10 meters away from him. At this moment, the woman happened to notice her. In that instant, the two faced each other from a distance. It was quite awkward, although she wasn't sure why the junior sister had appeared. But in the script, she was so infatuated with Yi Chen. Perhaps it was fate that brought her here to rescue him. After weighing her options, choose to temporarily withdraw. On the other side, Chu Yue has the same intention. The second senior sister actually appeared at this moment. She is indeed the protector angel of Yi Chen. Meanwhile, Ling Xiao lies in bed, unable to sleep. Recalling the little junior sister's embrace, a chill rises straight to his heart. I really can't figure it out. According to the original plot, he is supposed to sneak in to steal a deadly instrument. By chance, he was seen by the second junior sister, Guoyurong. This lays the groundwork. In the end, at the apprenticeship ceremony, he jumps out to expose him on the spot, helping Yi Chen slap him in the face for the first time. But just as Ling Xiao was about to go to Shanfang, he was informed that the master had already come out of seclusion. He was instructed to immediately go to Tian Cliff. At that moment, Ling Xiao was completely stunned. According to the original plot, wasn't the master supposed to come out tomorrow? And it's the middle of the night. What could I possibly do? This ridiculous plot is getting more and more absurd. After weighing his options, Ling Xiao decided that before meeting the beautiful envoy, he would first go to the pill room and steal the 7 extremes pill. The personalities of several junior sisters already seemed off, and he wouldn't allow any more problems in tomorrow's plot. Soon, Ling Xiao encountered the alchemy tower in the central gate. According to the original story, he only needs to enter the second level of the pill tower as the senior disciple, and he can obtain the 7 deadly pills to poison Yi Chen. But before that, he must wait for a woman to appear. The second junior sister who helps expose his poisoning of Yi Chen. She is the only eyewitness. Sure enough, at this moment, a gentle voice came from behind. It is indeed his junior apprentice sister, Guo Yulong. The moment he saw his junior sister, Ling Xiao's eyelids began to twitch again. The way this girl looks at me seems to carry a hint of affection. This seems a bit different from the way the plot describes it. However, based on the self-cultivation of the villain, Ling Xiao still forced a lewd smile. He looked her up and down, sizing up the second junior sister's figure. Truly, she contains multitudes. Generous and accommodating. Guo Yurong was startled at first. Then, as if something came to mind, her cheeks suddenly flushed. How does little Rong compare to the other 2 junior sisters? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Big drama shakeup. In the original storyline, after Ling Xiao said this line, the second junior sister who was provoked flew into a rage, and it set the stage for her exposing him the next day. Nowhere near being as gentle as she is now. It's over, we're barbecued. Now all 3 junior sisters' character settings are off. Now we can only place our hopes on the goddess at the heavenly maiden cliff. However, as a professional villain, Ling Xiao took away the 7 absolute elixir from the pill tower. She directly pushed the door open. Such an unusual action. This girl must be suspicious of me now. Little does she know, at this moment, Guo Yurong is extremely excited that Qi Ju Dan has been refined and processed. Now the toxicity surpasses that of previous decades by dozens of times. I guarantee that after she takes that leaf powder, she will die immediately. She won't enter reincarnation. At the same time, Ling Xiao rushed straight to Tian Nuya. To be honest, in the years since her crossing, she really hasn't seen this beautiful master much. Although each of his 3 junior sisters are stunning beauties, compared to Xiao Honglin, they still lack a certain charm. But unexpectedly, as soon as they met, Xiao Honglin brought up Yi Chen. Ling Xiao was shocked to the core. Why would his beautiful master already know about Yi Chen? This plot has definitely gone off the rails. Xiao Honglin looked up at her handsome disciple. Suddenly, a soft and charming female voice rang out. "Come play with your master, my obedient disciple." But the next moment, Ling Xiao felt as if the world was spinning. The surroundings rapidly retreated, as if he were in a time-space tunnel. By the time he came to his senses, I found myself standing on the edge of a steep cliff. I looked around, but there was no sign of my beautiful master, until I was half awake. High above the heavens, a cold, distant female voice suddenly rang out. "Disciple Susu, come spar with your master. At the peak of your primordial sound, one step from becoming a deity, I'm going to challenge you with my sword." Ling Xiao was just about to refuse when he was enveloped by an overwhelming sword intent. This was a sword technique purely driven by an immense and pure sword intent. It was the simplest, most direct, and most domineering attack of spiritual power from the master. In an instant, Ling Xiao gritted his teeth, and countless veins bulged on his forehead. As a worthless villain, he could accept being crushed by the strong, but he absolutely couldn't tolerate anyone deviating from the script. At the critical moment, Ling Xiao unleashed his sword aura to the extreme. He sent out his life-bound spirit sword directly, and then, without dodging or avoiding, he actively met the attack with his own sword. Damn, one after another, they're shooting. They're blasted all the way to Grandma's house. No point in being the villain anymore. All he wants now is a quick end. Amidst a thunderous roar, Ling Xiao suddenly felt pain in his lower body. He looked down to see Xiao Hongling's fairy sword, Qinghuan, piercing through his abdomen. But Ling Xiao never expected. The revered master who once showed him great favor now pierced through both his kidneys with a single sword. He thought, as a villainous transmigrator, he didn't fall at the hands of the original protagonist, but couldn't escape the claws of the one he trusted most. Yet just as Ling Xiao was astonished, he realized not only was he not dead, but he was resting on the pure and elegant thighs of the revered master. A beautiful, fair face is smiling and gazing at him. A subtle, warm fragrance wafts through the air. It turns out that the terrifying strike from Xiao Honglin just now was actually meant to empower the Ling Xiao's sword, to infuse it with energy, helping it awaken the supreme, unmatched sword body, thus enabling his swordsmanship to advance by leaps and bounds. Ling Ling views this as the teacher's intention. "You really tire the Taoist out. From now on, your junior sister will probably look up to you because of that incident. Your title as senior brother is indeed well deserved." After realizing he possessed the Wuxiang sword body, Ling Xiao felt completely numb. You should know this is one of the top sword Dao physiques in all realms. Those who have such a physique will determine the comprehension of the sword Dao in the current world, unleashing the sword techniques and supernatural powers. One can use sword wings instead of true essence to achieve great perfection. Moreover, it can merge with all the sword laws in the world. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao nearly blacked out. This plot is probably completely broken, because according to the original book setting, Qinglan sect is a great sect of sword cultivators with a legacy of 10,000 years. Once inner disciples pass the assessment, they can go to the underground sword tomb to forge their lifebound swords. But the key is, Master Xiao Hongling's lifebound sword is very special. The sword wielder can use the sword as a medium to transfer their sword intent to others. This is practically equivalent to breaking the laws of heaven and earth, without going against the natural order. In the mid to late stages of Yuan Shu, Yi Chen was severely injured by his enemy, the Empress of Dazhou, and gradually fell. It was Xiao Honglin who suggested using empowerment to help him awaken the formless battleship. Thus, he could return to the capital and take revenge on his enemy. And now the protagonist's grand era has been intercepted by himself. What the hell is left to play with? Ling Xiao is now worried about tomorrow's disciple initiation ceremony. I can't control my strength. I accidentally stabbed the protagonist, Yi Chen, to death. Just when Ling Xiao was lost in thought, a delicate female voice suddenly came to his ears. Wei asked, "Do you think the master looks good?" Ling Xiao never expected that she would ask him such an ambiguous question. Even the old lecherous senior brother from the original work. I wouldn't dare to act recklessly in front of the foremost female sword cultivator in the realm. Master, you are like the moonlight in the sky, noble and cold. I can only dare to look up at you for my entire life. I revere you like a deity. Ling Xiao looked at her master, who was around 200 years old, but her expression had a certain youthful entanglement. Right now, the three junior sisters have completely let themselves go. If this beautiful master takes a wrong turn with the sword, then the whole plot will be ruined. Just when he was feeling flustered, the beautiful master seemed a bit unsettled. In that case, why did you steal my silk net? As the conversation was halfway through, Xiao Honglin's cheeks flushed red. Suddenly, Ling Xiao stopped next to the microphone. His heart was already stirred up with a tremendous wave. He wouldn't have discovered that I stole the socks, would he? I, Ling Xiao, could be ruined. But this has to be done by the protagonist. This damn plot is completely messed up. A moment later, Xiao Honglin chuckled twice. And his expression suddenly became serious. If you get caught in a dispute these days, or someone provokes you, be sure to kill that person directly. Whatever the consequences, I will bear them myself. After hearing this, Ling Xiao gritted his teeth and nodded. At this moment, an ominous premonition arose in his heart. At tomorrow's disciple initiation ceremony, the climax of the main character's show-off and slaps in the face might have visibility issues. After Ling Xiao returns to the sect from the Heavenly Maiden Cliff, just as he landed, a junior brother approaches to report that the second junior sister and the third junior sister have started fighting at his door. The two stunning beauties of a generation. They actually got into a fight over a useless senior brother. You have to know that according to the original plot, the two first fell out because of the scumbag Yi-chan. But now, how could it be because of this lecherous and creepy senior brother of mine? At this moment, Ling Xiao even started to doubt whether he had crossed over into some fanfiction. Under the moonlight, two enchanting beauties faced each other. An invisible and chilling murderous aura instantly surged throughout the sect. Third junior sister, what are you doing at senior brother's place in the middle of the night? Gui Yorong's gaze was cold and piercing. It was as if a layer of frost covered her face. Senior sister, you came. Why can't I come too? Is senior brother only your senior brother? Usually gentle and refined, Chu Yue was not backing down either. The two had accidentally crossed paths earlier when ambushing Yi Chen at the foot of the mountain. At this very moment, both sides are suspicious of each other's motives. Gui Yorong was so angry he clenched his teeth. Junior sister, stop thinking about senior brother. Or maybe it's just that scumbag Yi Chen. As soon as he spoke, he realized he had slipped up. But he didn't care. Although Yi Chen has already left the mountain now, this girl will eventually be completely smitten. Upon hearing this, Chu Yue was thoroughly enraged. It's you who fell head over heels for that beast, Yi Chen. Senior sister is online with the insults. Don't blame Weiwei for being ruthless. You two junior sisters, please stop fighting. Just as the battle between the two was about to break out, a clear and cold voice came from not far away. The two of them instinctively looked back. It was none other than their beloved senior brother. After going through that mystical script in their minds, the two girls couldn't help but feel that this senior brother, who had seemed lustful in their past lives, now possessed an irresistible charm. As they looked at the scene before them, it was like a battlefield of emotions. Ling Xiao immediately clenched his teeth tightly. At this moment, he was absolutely certain. The personalities of these junior sisters had completely gone off track. After some dignified persuasion, the two junior sisters finally quieted down. In any case, for tomorrow's disciple recruitment at Qinglan sect, you two may not need to go, but it's absolutely necessary for me to be there. After speaking, Ling Xiao immediately turned and slipped away, without giving the two junior sisters any chance to speak. Seeing all the junior sisters let loose, Ling Xiao's face immediately wore a mask of pain. It seems like this pitiful villain has to carry tomorrow's big event alone. Soon, it was noon the next day. The once every 3 years disciple recruitment ceremony of Qinglan sect was about to begin. The place was buzzing with excitement. A lively scene. The young boys and girls coming to pay their respects to their masters were especially excited. Among the crowd by the stove, a tall figure stood out remarkably. He maintained a cold expression throughout, contrasting sharply with those around him. He exuded an air of unparalleled pride. Just the thought of the beauty he admired being in another man's arms, Yi Chen couldn't help but be slightly startled. He was furious. It was rare for him to feel this way, yet the other person had made him lose so thoroughly. At that moment, the announcement for the disciple selection ceremony suddenly rang out loudly. The chief disciple of Daosheng Mountain, Dao. All the young people in the audience looked up in unison. They saw a handsome young man in white, looking like a celestial being, floating down. At that moment, everyone in the audience couldn't help but gasp in amazement. But unlike those around him, Yi Chen's expression was as deep as water. He clenched his jaw tightly, like a fierce beast, just a pretty boy with no substance. Sooner or later, I, Yi Chen, will press him to the ground and rub him in. But before he could finish speaking, that figure, which attracted everyone's attention, actually crossed through the crowd, flying toward him. For some reason, Yi Chen actually felt a bit flustered for the first time. Instinctively, he gripped the short sword in his arms, infusing it with true energy. However, what happened next shocked everyone present. They saw Ling Xiao fiercely grabbing Yi Chen, cursing, "Damn it, you blind brat. I warned you last night, and you still dare to seek death. Congratulations, the host has successfully restored the plot. Your system reward has been issued. I can even trigger a system reward. Looks like I did a pretty good job in this opening scene." After delivering the shameful mocking line, I immediately felt goosebumps all over my body. It was as if millions of ants were dancing. But as a brainless hate-mongering villain, when the heroines all let loose, she had to carry the scene on her own. After all, this traditional male protagonist of feel-good stories never tolerates anyone saying a word against him. I saw the male lead, Yi Chen, with his head lowered. A handsome face turned grim and lifeless, like a corpse about to go berserk. "You're the dedicated one, brother." Ling Xiao's heart was filled with joy. It seems the plot is finally making sense. Then he smirked with sarcasm and sneered, "You little punk. Let me tell you, once you've joined the Qinglan sect, if you're a dragon, you'd better coil for me. If you're a tiger, you'd better bow for me. Going against me, Ling Xiao, do you have the strength for that?" With true energy backing his words, they instantly echoed across the entire sect square. His domineering roar showed no mercy. Hearing this, the crowd around them looked terrified. They stepped back a few paces. Those with weaker nerves even lost control of their bowels. After seeing everyone's reaction, Ling Xiao let out a long sigh of relief. A villain who can play the role so well and be hated, that's a skill too. After all, in the hands of that lousy author, the Ling Xiao in the original work is such a caricatured character who bullies the weak and fears the strong. At the same time, Yi Chen's sharp brows furrowed. A terrifying and fierce sword energy surged around him, enveloping everything within a tenjong radius. Ling Xiao watched this, and his heart surged with joy once again. He of course knew that Yi Chen was preparing to fight him next. As the male lead of a power fantasy, he just needs to be passionate and brainless to ignite the crowd. It's all good now. This round is gradually returning to normal. Compared to those useless female leads, this male lead is simply too reliable. Ling Xiao almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. Suddenly, a crisp sound of air being cut through rang out. Amid tens of thousands of astonished and fearful gazes, the young man drew his unstoppable long sword. Immediately, Yi Chen was surrounded by a warrior's aura powerful enough to destroy the world. It seemed as if he would annihilate everything in the next moment. The atmosphere of the entire scene was completely forgotten under his lead. But Ling Xiao just narrowed his eyes and quietly observed. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but lift slightly. The plot had progressed to this point. Everything is normal. Next, we just need to wait for that woman to appear. Then help Yi Chen complete the first wave of slapping faces. Sure enough, at this moment, a clear and powerful female voice came from afar. Everyone turned to look in the direction of the sound. They saw a stunning beauty with an impressive figure stepping through the air. Ling Xiao felt a sense of comfort upon seeing this. His heart was filled with satisfaction. Finally, someone is as dedicated to acting out the scene as I am. In full view of everyone, Gui Yurong strode up to Yi Chen with her long legs, secretly channeling her inner energy. She suddenly swung a big slap. A solid slap fiercely landed on Yi Chen's face. Yi Chen, seeing the beauty approach, let down his guard. That strike sent him completely off the ground. Like a kite with a broken string, he was sent flying backward. The whole crowd was stunned. Not a sound could be heard. Even Ling Xiao was left speechless. "Sorry, senior brother, for startling you. How dare such a crude commoner be disrespectful to you? He deserves to be punished." Looking at the concerned face of second junior sister, Ling Xiao remained motionless, like a statue. Does this woman know what she's doing? You're the female lead. Aren't you supposed to help the male lead out of trouble? Instead, you're being harsh on him. You even turned around to care about me, the evil villain. Ling Xiao felt an unprecedented despair once again. At this moment, his mind was blank. Now he really didn't know how to wrap things up. Yi Chen was suddenly a bit dazed from this slap. He thought about how he had been invincible all the way on Shenzhou continent. He didn't know how many innate cultivators he had killed. But now, having just entered the Qingwan territory, he hadn't even begun. Yet he had already been inexplicably slapped by two beauties. He swore to conquer all the women on the Divine Peak, including the renowned beauty, Master Xiao Hongling. With this in mind, Yi Chen drew his long sword. His face bloodthirsty, he stepped toward Ling Xiao. Gui Yurong quickly blocked him, standing in front of his senior brother. Triggered by the projection of that dreamlike script in his mind, he now clearly understands Yi Chen's trump card. According to the original plot, Yi Chen, relying on his martial arts cultivation from the eighth mirror, completely crushed his wasteful senior brother. Soon after, the appearance of the master in her icy silk stockings directly led to his downfall and disgrace. But seeing Yi Chen approach with a murderous aura, Ling Xiao was almost moved to tears. Suddenly, a transmission came again from afar, directly from the Great Cauldron. Fengming Peak Su Mei, the former wife of Yi Chen, handcrafted it. She's the strongest backing in the harem. Our female lead from Shenluan Peak has disappointed us. Looks like we'll have to rely on outside help. Seeing this, Ling Xiao finally felt at ease. He looked up along with the crowd. Even though he was a man who had seen much of the world, but seeing this stunning beauty in front of him, he was completely captivated. At the same time, Ling Xiao's mind was racing, trying to recall the original description of Su Mei as one of the most beloved heroines in the harem genre. Su Mei's popularity was hardly any less than Xiao Hongling's. But right now, the characters of several junior sisters and the master have all deviated, and the system has yet to give him a reasonable explanation. Let's wait and see if Su's craftsmanship causes any more issues. At this moment, Su Mei walked over slowly, her long, snow-white legs catching attention. All the disciples of the Qinglan sect around her bowed deeply in respect. As for the villain Ling Xiao, being a professional actor, he first gave her a lecherous once-over, then forced a greasy smile. According to the original story, Su Mei should have given him a disgusted glare by now. He turned towards the uniquely tempered young man. But what Ling Xiao didn't expect was, Su Mei immediately shifted her gaze and coldly stared at Yi Chen, challenging a disciple of the Qinglan sect. Do you know what that means? As soon as she finished speaking, a terrifying surge of sword shadows erupted from the void like a flood. No one expected that this stunning beauty, whose combat power is second only to Xiao Honglin, would immediately unleash a powerful attack upon her appearance. Feeling the overwhelming and terrifying sword energy directly, Yi Chen was so scared he nearly lost control of himself. In the face of absolute strength, he felt fear for the second time in his life. At this moment, the one suffering the most was none other than Ling Xiao. If he steps forward to plead, even if he convinces the beautiful master, it would mean that his villain persona collapses. But if he does nothing, the male lead is gone, and the story can't continue. Caught in this dilemma, a sudden sound echoed from the horizon. Immediately, a middle-aged Taoist fell into the arena. He is the master of gardening from Tiandao Peak. In the original story, this gardening old Taoist appears kind and benevolent, but he is actually quite scheming. He harbors ambitions. He is considered a major boss in the early stages, although on the surface he only possesses mid-stage nascent soul cultivation. But in reality, his combat power is only slightly lower than that of Xiao Honglin, who has his full firepower unleashed. In addition, he excels at hiding. He is skilled in scheming. When he launched his rebellion, the entire Qinglan sect was in shock. They were completely unprepared. However, under the protagonist Yi Chen's extraordinary actions, he ultimately failed in his conspiracy. Destroyed by Xiao Honglin with a single sword, reduced to a stunning baby on the protagonist's path of growth. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao let out a complete sigh of relief. Now that the plot has deviated from the eerie path, the appearance of this person can just save it. With the compassionate persona he has always maintained, he will definitely fit in perfectly. As expected, the next second, the reason appeared cheerfully in front of Yi Chen. The man was the focus of everyone's attention as the chief disciple, yet he had to tease his junior sister 10,000 times every day, because his role was that of the useless villain in a feel-good story. As long as he maintained the disgusting persona and reached the conclusion, he could ascend to immortality. From now on, I will roam the myriad worlds. However, the female leads unexpectedly play by their own rules. The plot keeps deviating from its course. Fortunately, there's still a major show ahead. I see Ling Xiao putting a pair of stockings into his embrace. This is a key prop for the upcoming plot. According to the original book, the plot features a life-and-death duel between Ling Xiao and Yi Chen at the disciple ceremony. Ling Xiao was thus defeated. He was even exposed for stealing the Venerable One's stockings. As the Qinglan sect's disciple recruitment ceremony officially began, the voice Ling Xiao most wanted to hear soon echoed from the stage. Number 381, Yi Chen, step forward to be tested. Before the words faded, a swift figure streaked across the sky above the square. He appeared on the stage in an instant. This lightness skill is not inferior to the air control techniques of the cultivators. The audience gasped in amazement. Even the elders of the sect expressed their approval. A trace of a defiant smile appeared on Yi Chen's lips. After experiencing repeated setbacks, he finally regained the feeling of being the destined child. Suddenly, at that moment, a figure landed in front of him. This person was a third-generation outer disciple of Tiandao Peak. But in the next second, Yi Chen found him too pathetic, not worthy to be his opponent at all. This wasn't arrogance. After all, with just the 7th level of Qi refining, Yi Chen could crush him with a flick of his finger. As soon as he said that, the whole crowd erupted. Everyone carefully examined this arrogant young man. Yi Chen even directly challenged Ling Xiao, the top disciple of Shirlwan Peak. He declared that if he couldn't completely crush him within 10 moves, he, Yi Chen, would willingly kneel and admit defeat on the spot. All he asked for was a bloody battle. Life or death, no regrets. However, faced with such a life-and-death provocation, Ling Xiao was grinning as he adjusted his attire. Finally, he could take the stage and get slapped in the face. The plot has finally returned to normal. But just as he got up, a cold female voice suddenly echoed throughout the venue. You think you deserve to fight my senior brother? Let me be your opponent. Next, a fairy descended onto the stage, cradling a spirit of 1,000 emotions. It was Ling Xiao's third junior sister, who possessed the sword soul of love. Seeing this, Ling Xiao rushed forward and grasped Chu Youwei's delicate hand. But just as he was about to pull her off the stage, he was shocked to discover that her once icy cold hand had suddenly become scorching hot. There were even faint signs of burns. Ling Xiao was greatly shocked. He didn't expect that this girl had forcibly cultivated the heart-killing demon technique from the Heavenly Een Love Sword Manual. It turns out that Chu Youwei was practicing possessing the secret left behind by the founder of the Qinglan sect. Its power is incredibly immense. Only those with a sword soul of heart and harmony can practice it. And the heart demon has already walked the path of demonic cultivation for half a lifetime. Under the fusion of celestial and demonic true meanings, there exists an energy capable of destroying heaven and earth. But once practiced, the harm to oneself and physical injuries are immense. Therefore, Master Xiao Honglin strictly prohibits him from learning such secret arts. It is important to know that in the original plot, Wu Yuwei used this move solely to protect Qi Yanwei during the critical night. But now, in his current state, it is for himself. In an instant, Ling Xiao's heart surged. A flood of emotions overwhelmed him. He wasn't made of stone. Saying he wasn't moved would be a lie. If it weren't for the villainous mission he carried, he would have embraced the young girl. Because only by becoming strong enough could he better protect his senior brother. On Chu Youwei's pale cheeks, a gentle smile appeared. She then waved her slender hand and walked toward the arena. For him, all of this was worth it. Ever since that mysterious scene appeared in his mind, he realized there's no one better than his senior brother. But this was a terrifying sword anomaly, sweeping down from the heavens above. Just because it brushed against the sword's edge, it descended from the skies into the arena. The crowd couldn't help but gasp in awe. Even a few sect elders on the high platform were so startled, they almost wet themselves. Under the gaze of tens of thousands of eyes, a tall figure, a cold and elegant fairy stepped forward. Yue, step back quickly. Do not interfere. Senior brother, I am the top disciple of the Shenmen sect. How could I be afraid of this common martial warrior? At this moment, Ling Xiao's heart was filled with agony. He didn't expect that his master still couldn't resist making a move early. What would happen in a duel between two transmigrators? As the male protagonist of a power fantasy novel from ancient times, Yi Chen arrogantly looked at the useless immortal in front of him. Ling Xiao recalled his lines for a moment, then shouted angrily, "Save you, you bastard! Do you dare to challenge the top disciple of Sherman Peak?" With that, Ling Xiao formed a sword seal, and a sound like a dragon's roar shook the valley. As he directed his palm, his life-bound sword, Yunmeng's, shot out with a thunderous roar. Suddenly, a golden sword light shot through the air. In an instant, it formed a brilliant, deceptive strike aimed at Yi Chen. But this seemingly magnificent strike from Ling Xiao actually only used less than 10% of its power. It was meant for Yi Chen to catch it smoothly and then counter with his signature Chinese technique. At that moment, Xiao Hongling, watching from the platform, saw through it immediately. "You clever little brat. Last night, I worked hard to bestow you with the sword, and you actually held back." However, compared to the anger of being disappointed in you, what he feels more at this moment is worry for his disciple. After all, with his meager innate cultivation level, facing a secular dancer at the 8th realm of martial arts, he can't even bring out his full strength. This is practically suicide. The nearby elders of the Qingwan sect also shook their heads in dismay. They were quite disappointed. They had long heard that Ling Xiao's strength wasn't even as good as some of his junior sisters, and now it seems that this was indeed the case. Who would have thought that a genius sword cultivator, rare in 10,000 years, would take such a useless chief disciple? The next second, something unbelievable happened. Even Ling Xiao himself did not see it coming. Congratulations, host, for successfully restoring the character plot. Sword art divine ability triggered. The divine sword Jade Thunder technique is being implanted with one strike. What the hell is this? You're giving me a reward at a time like this? As the profound truths of the sword Dao continued to pour into the depths of the sea of corpses, Ling Xiao could clearly feel his formless sword body growing stronger. The sword intent condensed effortlessly, and it's becoming more precise. However, the most terrifying thing is that his seemingly ordinary strike just now triggered the newly comprehended spy effect. In an instant, the world changed color. From the skies above, thunder faintly appeared. The champion's lightning seemed to be summoned from the heavens, and the pure sword born from Ling Xiao's formless sword body. In an instant, it devoured and merged with Yi Chen's sword. "You truly gave me quite the surprise, disciple." Xiao Hongling stood up excitedly. She looked at her beloved disciple on the stage in amazement, shaking the whole arena. However, Su Mei, standing to the side, began to have doubts in her heart. This is not ordinary. According to the script, Ling Xiao has been playing this role solo from the very start, opposing that little brat Yi Chen. But after all, he's just an insignificant figure. And in the end, he met a tragic fate. How could it be like this now? To see such extraordinary talent, stunning the entire crowd. Could someone be trying to alter fate, forcibly infusing him with power? Thinking of this, he once again looked at Xiao Hongling and fell into deep thought. At this moment, on the stage, facing the overwhelming sword energy and thunderous light, Yi Chen had a very strong intuition. If he were to take on this terrifying sword technique today, his legendary life might come to an early end. On this small stage, after weighing all the options, this previously arrogant young man suddenly dropped to his knees and knelt before Ling Xiao. I admit defeat. I am willing to apologize to your sect. I beg the honored ones on the stage to save me. As soon as these words left his mouth, the whole place was shocked. Silence fell. No one could have imagined that the young master just now resembled a lost dog. But the one most devastated was Ling Xiao on stage. Due to the sudden rewards triggered by the dog system, he had been trying his best to suppress his sword, finally managed to reduce his power to 30%. I didn't expect the male lead to surrender on his own. In the novel, that invincible prodigy who can sweep across thousands of miles and casually traverse the 9 heavens and 10 realms. Is this really him? At this moment, Ling Xiao was completely furious. He had diligently played the villain for over a decade. Finally, it's time for this stupid male lead to become a disciple. This should have been a grand scene of showing off and slapping faces. But as the male lead, he actually kneels and surrenders to a villain. In that moment, Ling Xiao felt his blood pressure skyrocket. His mind went blank. He probably really doesn't know how this broken plot should continue. The man has been a fool for 11 years just to complete the plot mission and ascend to immortality. But unexpectedly, all the original female leads are top-tier actresses. After struggling to get to the part where the protagonist comes to the mountain and loses face, I didn't expect. He kneeled to me, a worthless villain. None of them follow the script. How can this plot even be salvaged? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao's eyes instantly turned blood red. Countless veins bulged on his forehead. At this moment, he truly resembled a hellish demon from a novel. Since they are not worthy of me as the villain, then I might as well not be a villain at all. Detection indicates that the host's mental state has fallen to a safe green level. This system is about to crash. Please adjust your mindset in a timely manner. Hearing the system alarm ringing in his ears, a sinister smile crept onto Ling Xiao's face. This broken world. He was already tired of it. Detected. Host's mental state nearing the critical threshold for corruption. Slacker villain system is crashing. Host, are you sure you want to give up the villain quest and the reward of becoming an immortal of the righteous path? He saw this line of blood-red text prompt. Ling Xiao has finally become a bit more aware. His 2 lifetimes have forged a calm state of mind. He doesn't want to remain in this fictional novel world forever. Most importantly, his talents are rather mediocre. Even with the nurturing advice from his beautiful master, it will be hard for him to achieve prominence before his time runs out. It's better to just go with the flow for now. Decide only after investigating the reasons behind all the changes. Surprised by this, Ling Xiao no longer has any deep affection in his heart. His eyes regained their previous clarity. He transformed once again into that ethereal figure atop Xianluan Peak. At this point, the outcome of the life and death duel between Master Brother and the male lead, Yi Chen, was already decided. The scene erupted into a frenzy. The expressions of the elders on the high platform varied greatly. However, Su Mei next to them seemed to be plotting something. According to the so-called Heavenly Dao script, Yi Chen was supposed to win this duel easily, but unexpectedly, Ling Xiao rewrote his fate. I must take this child from my junior sister and record his echo. Xiao Honglin was also overjoyed at this moment, and suddenly appeared on the stage. But just as she was about to walk toward Ling Xiao, but then he realized that 2 beautiful girls had already gotten ahead of him. Rong and Youwei's attitude toward Xiao seemed somewhat unusual. According to the prophecy in the dream, weren't the 2 of them supposed to fall in love with Yi Chen, that kid, and gradually grow to despise Xiao? Now, seeing this situation, doesn't it suggest that Xiao's fate has been completely altered? Thinking of this, Xiao Hongling's face suddenly broke into a smile. But watching Ling Xiao being so close with his 2 junior sisters, he suddenly felt a pang of emptiness inside, as if he had lost something. In the end, he still didn't disturb them. With a flash, he vanished into thin air. Master, don't worry. Your disciple will go to Tianshan Cliff tonight to pay respects for you. I'll also see where the plot went wrong. At this moment, Ling Xiao slowly walked towards Yi Chen. Just as he was about to speak and spare this dog-like male lead, suddenly a figure appeared out of thin air, blocking in front of Yi Chen. It was none other than the master from Tiandang Peak, the horticulture true person. I really didn't expect this old fox to show up. It seems this male lead's momentum has indeed not diminished. After a brief interlude, the disciple ceremony continued. The square was once again filled with lively chatter. At this moment, Yi Chen, under the invitation of the horticulturist, chose to join the Tiandang Peak lineage, and became a direct disciple. After all, as long as one enters the Qinglan sect, there's a chance to kill Ling Xiao. Avenge the hatred. Watching this scene, Ling Xiao felt a flood of emotions in his heart. The mid-level boss got entangled with the male lead. The absurdity of this plot is almost laughable. Suddenly, at this moment, a voice from the system echoed in his ear. Congratulations, host, on successfully restoring the main storyline. You are rewarded with the supreme grade blue-green sword of the current world. You must unlock at least half of it to attempt this. The Ling Xiao pupils suddenly contracted. I nearly fainted. This Qinglan sword, isn't it the key item that Yi Chen obtained from the forbidden area in the back mountain during the mid-story? Why did you forcefully shove this into my hands for no reason? According to the original story, Yi Chen officially used this immortal sword, together with Xiao Hongling, to defeat the joint invasion of the 8 great demon lords. After the disciple ceremony, Ling Xiao went straight to the Heavenly Maiden Cliff. Tonight, I must properly express gratitude and respect to this master. His intuition told him, the root cause of the plot falling apart lies with this beautiful master. This woman knows how to have fun. As the top female cultivator of Zhongzhou, she actually invites her disciple up the mountain at midnight to reward herself. Ling Xiao looked at the beautiful master before him and couldn't help but feel stirred in his heart. Suddenly, Xiao Honglin raised her snow-white, long eyebrows. With her toes pointed down, she pressed them against her disciple's knee. My good little heir, come help the world-honored one wash his feet. Ling Xiao nearly fainted. Upon hearing this, you call this a reward? Lord, you're really playing this up. What a snotty face. Ling Xiao suddenly changes the tone. I can't have any close contact with my master. You should know that in the original work, despite Yi Chen's deep aura, he's all about showing off and looking cool. But Xiao Honglin is the only woman who feels nothing for him. The most important thing is, this woman has an unpredictable personality. If she steps into a minefield tonight, given this volatile fairy's temperament, the consequences would be unimaginable. Seeing Ling Xiao's reluctance, Xiao Honglin furrowed his brow, feeling gloomy. A thought crossed his mind. He smashed the wine jar in his hand. Since you were unwilling, why did you steal your master's silk stockings? At this moment, Ling Xiao finally realized everything. No wonder he thought this was a reward for him. Turns out, she had known about the stolen stockings all along. At this moment, Ling Xiao didn't care anymore. He grabbed his master's jailer directly. The true big villain must be adaptable. Xiao Honglin's face instantly flushed red. Her beautiful eyes rolled. On that pretty face, the expression was already hard to control. It was at that moment that a voice suddenly entered her mind. Congratulations, host, on successfully restoring your persona. You have received a random reward. God-level massage technique. Increases medical effects by 300%. Ling Xiao was momentarily stunned, but soon he felt relieved. After all, the senior brother in the original work was just this kind of sham. At the same time, he instinctively lifted his head, only to see his own statue, looking at himself with satisfaction. This is Xiao Honglin. Slowly retracting her jade leg, her expression changed rapidly. Next month, our 5 Veins disciples will go together to the underground construction. Just right, as you are the eldest senior brother of the Divine Gate. It's time to have my own destined spirit sword. Ling Xiao nodded, but doubts arose in her heart. The author gave all the female leads their destined spirit swords. Yet, as the mere tool-like villain, I only have an ordinary spirit sword. Is this plot really going to go downhill? Looking at her beloved disciple fading into the distance, Xiao Hongling's smile gradually froze. Right now, Yi Chen is under the protection of my senior brother's will. This kid is fortunate to have escaped death. Although Master has already foreseen future cause and effect, there are still many parts of the process that remain unclear. He only knows that if this person stays in Qinglan sect, it will definitely bring about a great disaster. In the future, Master will surely do his utmost to nurture you into a great figure. The spy shattered the mysteries of heaven and earth, completely reversing the fate of salvation. Meanwhile, a young girl quietly sneaked into Ling Xiao's room. She saw him leaning on the bed, her delicate nose inhaling everything about senior brother. But just as she was lost in infatuation, she didn't realize that senior brother had been standing outside the window for a long time. Second junior sister's character might not just be collapsing. He's playing this in a pretty extreme way. Ling Xiao thought it over and over. In the end, he decided to directly ask third junior sister about everything. But just as he entered the room, he found Chu Yuwei intently watching Lu Ying. At that moment, even the usually calm and composed Ling Xiao couldn't help but blush. Over the years, to portray the villainous senior disciple's persona well, he often placed recording stones in the junior sister's bathhouse. But it was all to stay true to the plot. His character could ascend to immortality sooner. However, He never expected that the third junior sister would discover it now. At this moment, Chu Yue on the bed still hasn't noticed Ling Xiao's presence. He just picks up the recording stone of the audio and image of Sakura Yumu. Then, with a hand gesture, he sends a spell into it. Right after, Luing appeared as if the mirror flowers and water moon had shattered. If the senior brother truly has such interests, then he can only look at me. Chu Yu blushed, unaware that the figure she had been longing for had already come up behind her. Junior sister, what are you doing? Ling Xiao gathered his emotions, putting on the demeanor of a great villain. Hands on her hips, angrily scolding the girl. A glance back towards the suburbs. The atmosphere immediately becomes extremely tense. The girl, trying to hook up with someone important before turning 20, actually launched a night attack on the perverted villain. When the senior saw the footage of himself being secretly filmed, instead of rejecting it, he blushed and seemed to want more. In order to uncover the reason for the third sister's character collapse, Ling Xiao made a decision that went against her ancestors. She forced a lewd smile onto her face as she approached Chu Yue on the bed. To her surprise, Chu Yue not only did not shy away, but instead lowered his head shyly like a little kitten. Wei Wei was worried about her senior brother. I was worried that you might be hurt by that bastard Yi Chen during the day, so I came to check on you. The other person's response once again left Ling Xiao feeling uneasy. The extent of this character's collapse seems to have broken through the boundaries of the universe. You should know that according to the original plot, the disciple-taking ceremony during the day, after Ling Xiao was crushed by Yi Chen, the third junior sister went to visit the male lead, Yi Chen, and apologized on behalf of her senior brother. She was also moved by Yi Chen's fake generosity, which laid the groundwork for her becoming the male lead's second harem member. Throughout the whole process, there wasn't a single scene for a villain like me. Now it seems, the plot line indeed deviated at a certain point, and this moment likely occurred before Yi Chen went to the mountain. After calming his emotions for a while, Ling Xiao decided to fully embody the villain persona. He intended to scare off the third junior sister with his ugliest face, so he skillfully reached out his hand and grabbed the delicate waist of the third junior sister. I thought this would be a fatal blow, but to my utter surprise, Chu Yue not only didn't resist, but actually grabbed his large hand and placed it on her own hip. Seeing that the other person was serious, Ling Xiao completely panicked. He tried to pull away, but it was already too late. After a moment of indescribable warmth, Ling Xiao realized his first kiss in this lifetime was gone. Suddenly, a shocking thought flashed through his mind. Third junior sister, you are being unreasonable to your senior brother. I will let it slide for now, but would you be willing to help the senior brother with a favor? Go to Tiandang Peak, set a trap for Yi Chen, help your senior brother vent some frustration. Ling Xiao was just testing the waters, but didn't expect the other party to agree so decisively. Not long after, a report from Shundan Peak came from outside the dormitory at Tiandang Peak. Sister's visit. Hearing this, Yi Chen was instantly stunned. The next second, he excitedly rushed out. There stood a graceful figure, swaying in the wind. Today is all my senior brother's fault. He couldn't help but fall for junior sister Ying at first sight. Yi Shidi, how innocent you are. Chu Yue bit her red lips tightly. He tried hard to make his expression look sincere. He had never lied in his life. But this time, to earn his senior brother's approval, he decided to go all out. Yi Chen was visibly excited. As an experienced man, he naturally knew that the woman before him had feelings for him. Chu Yue seized the moment. He claimed he wanted to take Yi Chen on a tour of the sect's scenic mountains, using this to apologize on behalf of his senior brother. So Chu Yue took the opportunity to bring Yi Chen to the celestial pool at Fengming Peak. Using the excuse of bathing, she asked him to wait there for a moment. Seeing this, Yi Chen was quite excited. Ling Xiao, oh Ling Xiao, your junior sister is being so forward with another man. You are truly pitiful. But just as those words were spoken, suddenly, a graceful figure descended from the moonlit sky. What scoundrel dares trespass upon the peak of Fengming? She had strikingly delicate features, her skin as fair as snow, and in terms of grace, she was no less stunning than Su and Xiao. Unintentionally, Yi Chen was utterly captivated by her presence. But just as he was about to conquer her with his damn charm, suddenly, the woman's energy surged. A sword came slashing through the air. Yi Chen inwardly sighed, realizing it was bad. He quickly thought to draw his sword to defend, but it was already too late. All he felt was a sharp pain in his arm. The next second, his entire body collapsed to the ground. Zhu Wanning noticed the corpse sect accessory on Yi Chen, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. So, he's a disciple of Tiandao Peak's gardening sect. Chu Yue, who was observing from afar, immediately let out a sigh of relief. Senior brother's plans were truly brilliant. Finally, he can go back and report to him. It was the first time the man went out without wearing underwear and was accidentally caught by his beautiful junior sister. But he not only lacks shame, but instead pulls the other person close. He claims he will show him a big treasure tonight. Just now, a sudden message from the system appeared in Ling Xiao's mind. Due to the protagonist Yi Chen being indirectly persecuted by you, he is now severely injured. His fortune value has lost 100 points. Congratulations, host, on successfully restoring the villain persona. The system reward has been automatically issued. Due to your advancement in the Sword Dao realm, you have automatically comprehended the divine ability, Hidden Dragon Sword Technique. What the hell is going on? Wasn't the reward supposed to be triggered only by following the original plot? Ling Xiao immediately frowned, vaguely sensing that things weren't that simple. However, according to the system prompt, Yi Chen has indeed fallen into the trap set by the third junior sister. He has been severely injured by Zhu Wan Ning, the cold ice mountain. It turns out he had Chu Yue lure Yi Chen into the red wall of Fengming Peak. He just wanted to see if any bonds would form between them, just like in the original work. After all, according to the plot of the original book, after the disciple ceremony concluded, Chu Yue went to visit Yi Chen. The two had a great conversation. Unintentionally, they flew into the territory of Fengming Peak. Then they encountered Zhu Wanqing, the chief disciple of Su Mei. As Yi Chen's last addition to the harem in Qinglan sect, she has a cold personality. Her temper is extremely volatile. She immediately attacked the two of them. Ultimately, they were protected by Chu Yue. Only if Yi Chen can safely withdraw. But judging from the current situation, the bond between Yi Chen and the third junior sister has already been completely severed here. At this thought, Ling Xiao felt an inexplicable sense of relief. After all, who would want their treasured junior sister to develop feelings for someone like Yi Chen, a reckless youth? But at the same time, regarding the next move, instead, he became even more worried. At this point, the third junior sister's character has already collapsed. Next, the plot where Yi Chen displays his power at the Wumai Grand Dance can only rely on the other two junior sisters. According to the original story's timeline, Ling Xiao gradually became disliked by her junior sisters during this plot. Even her beloved beautiful master was disappointed in her at this time. However, although junior sister San's character has collapsed for now, the other members of Yi Chen's harem should still be normal. After the dance, it will be the time for my plot to conclude and ascend to the right path. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao instantly adjusted his mindset, his eyes shining with renewed brilliance. At this moment, Ling Xiao opened his system panel. Looking at the newly loaded sword techniques and divine abilities, I can't help but smile bitterly. First, there was the Divine Sword's Thunder True formula. Now there's the Shadow of the Azure Dragon. This really is the ultimate extermination set meal. Damn system, stop throwing me these godly abilities. As a villain whose plot is about to wrap up, are you trying to make me crush Yi Chen? To seize the opportunity, then you're going to take his woman? If nothing unexpected happens. In response to his questions and complaints, the system still had no response. Looking at the large cultivation experience pack just awarded, Ling Xiao couldn't help but curiously click on it with his mind. Congratulations, host. You have successfully opened the cultivation experience pack, and it is now loading your cultivation automatically. I was just trying to see how to open it. Although Ling Xiao felt an overwhelming sadness in his heart, unfortunately, it was all too late. A profound and powerful warm vortex emerged from his 8 extraordinary meridians. Then, it continuously flowed into his dantian. This cycle repeated around his body. In just a moment, Ling Xiao felt his physical body undergo a qualitative transformation. Congratulations, host, on your cultivation improvement. From the mid-stage of innate breakthrough to the great perfection realm, the divine power Tao and true source. The strength increased by 80% compared to before. As a series of system prompts sounded in his ears, Ling Xiao was completely stunned. He had skipped decades of hard cultivation, instantly reaching the great perfection of innate and half-step golden core. But it seemed that wasn't the end. Due to the realm breakthrough, the formless sword body completed its transformation. Entering the mid-stage, the sword of divine ability can increase by 50%. Ling Xiao's resolve is now somewhat shaky. He has never seen such shameless theatrics. Is he really not afraid that this worthless villain will slap the chosen one, Yi Chen, to death during the performance? Even the Oscars owe this man a Best Actor award. To portray the extravagant villainist senior brother, he spends every day stealing the beautiful master's stockings, just teasing the little junior sister. But such a scumbag image. Yet someone still confessed to him. Looking at the third junior sister, who had been seduced and came back deflated, Ling Xiao quickly ruffled her little head. Wei, you did great tonight. Brother Fong relieved his heart's resentment. Hearing this, Chu Youwei's face turned completely red. That big senior brother. Can you make me feel comfortable? Ling Xiao immediately trembled in disbelief, looking at the shy person in front of him. Images that were hard to speak of kept flashing in his mind. I really like big senior brother. From now on, the path of immortality is long. I held senior brother to keep warm. I wonder if senior brother is willing. I saw Chu Youwei clenching his delicate fists tightly. Tears faintly shimmered in his eyes. There was sincerity, but also a hint of pitiful pleading. Ling Xiao forced himself to stay calm. After some thought, he decided to take this chance to ask everything. You like me this much? Isn't your senior brother at home sleazy enough? Over the years, Ling Xiao has truly portrayed the image of a scummy senior brother to perfection. Even the Oscars owe him a Best Actor award. It has come to this point. Yet someone still confesses their feelings to him. Is this girl sure her eyes aren't blind? However, Chu Youwei firmly shook her head. I will never forget the first day in the mountains. When I was desperate and helpless. It was you who made my favorite roast chicken. I can't forget that either. When the string broke and I was afraid of being punished. It was you who secretly took the lute away. Took it down the mountain overnight for repairs. Senior brother, you truly are the most gentle man in this world. Faced with such a sincere confession from his junior sister, Ling Xiao almost couldn't hold it together. The mystery behind the collapse of this junior sister's character has finally been solved. For over a decade, he has indeed done many things for his junior sisters. After all, the system only required him to maintain the facade of a villain. There were no rules saying he couldn't secretly act as a proper senior brother. He had watched the three junior sisters grow up since they were young. His feelings for them were like those of real sisters. At this moment, Ling Xiao could no longer suppress his first ever break from his villainous persona. He gently brushed away the tears on his junior sister's face. Then he gave her a light kiss on the forehead. Ling Xiao never imagined that he would be beaten to the punch by this innocent, pure-hearted third junior sister. Suddenly at this moment, a figure descended from the sky. It was none other than Guo Yorong, the top sword genius of the Qinglan sect. Seeing the senior brother by Yueguang and the third junior sister so close, Guo Yorong's face flushed instantly. She then turned around, biting her lip. I've really disturbed senior brother's leisurely moment. Ling Xiao put on the villain's demeanor, trying to remain calm. A large hand suddenly pulled the second junior sister into its embrace. Now, both beautiful girls were in his arms at the same time. Yorong, you came at just the right time. Such a beautiful moment. Why not do something fun together? Congratulations to the host for successfully restoring the villain's character. You've received a random reward. The Harmony Secret Technique, Will Method. Afterwards, the three senior and junior siblings drank and chatted by the cliff. Even if the strong liquor runs through my intestines, Ling Xiao has no intention of using true essence to dispel the effects of the alcohol. After all, according to the original plot, after being defeated by Yi Chen at the dance competition, it's not far from the time when this villain, Luo Luo, will meet his end. Therefore, before ascending to immortality, it's better to take this time to spend more time with the junior sisters in my true character. However, as several of them recalled the bits and pieces of their childhood, Ling Xiao realized that he had long been regarded as family by the junior sisters. He suddenly remembered the day of the disciple ceremony, when he faced off against Yi Chen, and the scene of his junior sisters stepping up. It turned out that their actions were completely to protect him, the senior brother, to safeguard the Shenmen family from being invaded by Yi Chen, an outsider. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao's once rock-solid thief star began to waver again. Just as his heart was in turmoil, a graceful figure approached him slowly like crashing waves. Guo Yorong leaned in close to Ling Xiao's ear, her voice soft and seductive, saying, "So, our senior brother, how long are you planning to keep up this act?" He was the sect's-acknowledged useless senior brother, yet he is deeply loved by countless junior female disciples. It has almost developed into a pathological obsession. He saw the second junior sister leaning on Ling Xiao's leg, emboldened by alcohol, her beautiful eyes gazing affectionately at her senior brother. In the next moment, the mirror faded away the mountains. Her alluring figure was fully revealed. Ling Xiao looked at this scene, and almost gave up resisting. After he forced himself to calm down, he shouted angrily, "Second junior sister, how dare you act so insolently? Aren't you afraid that senior brother will lose control?" Feeling the constant pressure on his chest, Ling Xiao still didn't forget to maintain his villain persona. Such dedication, even the heavens would weep upon seeing it. Looking at the person he's had a crush on for 10 years, Guo Yorong, he no longer cared about finding me. Fueled by the wine, I planted a deep kiss on senior brother's lips. Ling Xiao's heart was once again stirred with turmoil. Clearly, I am the villain here. Yet the junior sisters are all behaving more pervertedly than the last. Second junior sister, I advise you to be careful. If master finds out you've overstepped your bounds, you definitely won't end up well. Ling Xiao could only try to invoke the goddess from Tian New Cliff at this moment. He hoped to use her to suppress his second junior sister's madness. However, Ling Xiao couldn't deceive his own heart. heart. He still felt very ashamed. He hoped this second junior sister could be a bit more aggressive, but he soon realized he was overthinking. He suddenly saw Guoyurong stand up. It seemed she intended to leave. I didn't expect that in the next moment. He actually took off his blood-stained white silk, and then, with a resolute heart, threw it towards his senior brother. Senior brother, since you stole the master's ice silk socks, you must have quite a unique preference. Consider these socks a token of my affection for you. Damn. How does he know I stole the master's stuff? With the character of the master, he would definitely not tell anyone. Could it be that junior sister heir has a script as well? Ling Xiao's heart sank instantly. In an instant, all thoughts were cleared away, replaced by serious doubts about this world. Perhaps compared to the world in the original work, this world may have been completely overturned from a certain moment on. These heroines have all lived out their true personalities. But even so, in this perilous world of vast Shenzhou, what can a mere villain like her do? She can only do her job well, keep the plot steady, and ascend to immortality as soon as possible. After all, everything is the choice of fate. After the banquet, Guoyurong gradually becomes conscious. She uses her Taoist skills to release the restraints on her senior brother. I'm sorry, senior brother. I was a bit lightheaded from drinking earlier, but I really do have something important to discuss with you. I am requesting your help. Senior brother, please do not participate in the Wumai meeting. The three of us sisters will represent Shenluan Peak in the battle. If Yichen dares to provoke senior brother, Yorong will personally step in to teach him a lesson. When junior sister mentioned the Wumai meeting, Xiao of the martial world couldn't help but be on guard. Right now, the storyline of the disciple acceptance ceremony has already gone off course. He absolutely will not allow anything unexpected to happen at the Wumai meeting. Ling Xiao grabbed once again. The aura of a villain emerges, fiercely explosive. As the chief disciple, how can I hide behind you few junior sisters? If that brat Yichen dares to shout, I will definitely go on stage and beat him until his own father won't recognize him. The day of becoming an immortal is right before me. This time, he will bet the dignity of a villain. After speaking, Ling Xiao ignored his junior sister's earnest pleas, and directly flicked his sleeve, riding his sword into the sky. This domineering attitude had a bit of a mindless villain who's overconfident. Congratulations to the host for successfully restoring the character. You've earned a system reward. Wang Yu takes the first step. This reward is a passive ability. It is automatically implanted into the host's corpse. This dog system is nothing like a dog. I was already worried about accidentally killing Yichen. Now it forces such a practical passive technique on me. Are you deliberately trying to make things harder for me, Grandpa? Ling Xiao can't hold it in anymore. He cursed inwardly. At this moment, a ridiculous thought suddenly crossed his mind. Could it be possible that this damn system was originally meant for Yichen, and then it picked the wrong host, mistaking him for the original protagonist? He's just a useless villain even dogs shake their heads at. Every day, he either steals his beautiful master's stockings or snatches food from junior sisters. Even little junior sister isn't spared. Just now, Ling Xiao was taking a shower after returning to the dormitory. Suddenly, little junior sister Lu Yining's anxious voice came from outside. The master asked me to inform the senior brother to go to Dragon Head Peak. Yichen accused you of colluding with third senior sister in front of the headmaster. What's with Yichen? Why does he like causing trouble so much? Isn't it just that he got beaten up by his own harem thanks to Wan Ning? You damn well wait patiently. I'll make arrangements for you, Grandpa. Isn't showing off and getting slapped in the face great? Ling Xiao frowned. Just as he was about to recall the doorway, he saw a lovely little loli push the door open and enter. What came into view was the strongest side of the senior brother. Ling Xiao, looking cool and refreshing, exchanged glances with his little junior sister. In extreme embarrassment, she made her final decision. When in doubt, villain literature. Just play the original character. Then Ling Xiao braced himself and walked up to the junior sister. A wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. What is junior sister Ying doing breaking into senior brother's room? Do you want your senior brother to teach you how to pedal in the corridor? Congratulations, host. You have successfully restored the villain persona. You triggered the reward. 10,000 Demons Golden Spear Technique. The sudden system notification in his ear almost made Ling Xiao lose his composure on the spot. What the hell? Even the Hehuan sect's techniques are being thrown at me. You have to know, the Hehuan sect is the darkest of the 8 demon sects. It's said that the sect is filled with a bunch of sisters who seduce men. Who the hell dares to practice techniques from a sect like this? Just as she was feeling conflicted in her heart, Lu Yingying lowered her head, her eyes gazing dreamily at a certain spot. Then she looked up adorably at her senior brother's handsome face. Does Yingying not understand what her senior brother means? Looking at the pure and innocent girl before him, Ling Xiao couldn't help but feel a jolt in his heart. If Yue and sister Yorong were here, he probably would have already blushed blushed and scolded me. But the kid just looked confused. At this moment, Ling Xiao wished he could slap himself. In order to maintain his villain persona, he actually said such inappropriate things to his junior sister. Ling Xiao immediately gritted his teeth. He ordered his junior sister to wait outside. As the girl closed the door, her face quickly flushed with shyness. Lu Yinyin is determined to kill Yi Chen at the dance auction. Then she'll stop at nothing to possess senior brother forever. After a brief interlude, the two of them soon arrived at Dragon Head Peak, where the headmaster resides. But just as they landed, a cold female voice sounded behind them. Are you senior brother Lin from Shenhuan Peak? I am Su from the Fengming Peak. I am a disciple under the seat of my master, Jiu. I have long admired senior brother Lin's great name. Ling Xiao felt a stir in his heart as he turned around. It was the person who injured Yi Chen at the Tian NV pool last night, Zhu Wanming. Looking at this rare gem found in the mortal world, Ling Xiao couldn't help but feel a stir in his heart. I could directly play with the crossing tribulation. It really damn cheapened this kid Yi Chen. You should know that in the original work, she's a top-tier harem member that Yi Chen worked hard to win over. Her looks are no less than those of his other beautiful junior sisters. Today, the headmaster summoned me to Longsho Peak and even specially sent junior sister Zhu to escort me. Is he afraid I'll get lost? From Ling Xiao's perspective, the bond between Zhu Wanning and Yi Chen in the original work is quite deep. She is considered one of the strongest descendants of Yi Chen's harem. But no one expected that Zhu Wanyin would accuse Yi Chen of being recklessly bold. He trespassed into the heavenly maiden pool, spying on the female disciples of Fengming sect. He was a complete villain. So, in order to protect the fellow disciples, they decided to join forces with Ling Xiao. Let Yi Chen be severely punished, so that he can never rise again for all eternity. Ling Xiao listened in. Her mind was in a mess. As one of Yi Chen's strongest harem members in the early stages, she actually wants to put the child of destiny to death. If it's said that a few junior sisters changed their roles because of me, then whether in the original work or in this timeline, he barely had any interaction with Zhu Wannin. After weighing his options, Ling Xiaojing dragged his junior sister and strode towards Shenshao Palace. He felt that if he kept arguing with Zhu Wannin, the plot would spiral even more out of control. He was once a peerless prodigy of his generation, yet now he kneeled before a useless old Taoist. Seeing this situation, Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh. He never thought that the mighty protagonist of a power fantasy novel, the child of destiny, would be reduced to begging others for justice. But setting aside his plot armor and great fortune, Yi Chen is nothing more than a bold coward. Over the years, with the help of a mysterious elder, he has swept through countless foes. His invincibility has only further fueled the arrogance within him. After being defeated by this useless one during the disciple ceremony, his personality has undoubtedly twisted to some extent. However, what this fool does next is not important to me. All I need to do is to make sure he survives until the 5 Baal meeting. Then he will be defeated in public. Help me complete this plot. Meanwhile, Yi Chen also raised his head, his blood-red eyes fixed firmly on Ling Xiao. That gaze seemed as if it wanted to swallow him whole. What good does glaring at me do? If you have the guts, come bite me. If it weren't for completing the task, with Jin Ji's strength, one sword strike could probably take you down, you useless trash. Suddenly at this moment, the head of Qinglan sect had Ziyunjinren speak. Why hasn't your junior sister, Chu Yue, arrived? Could it be that my disciples failed to notify her properly? Reporting to the head Jinren, my third junior sister was overly emotional last night. She injured her qi. Today, our master strictly ordered her not to go out. Ling Xiao deliberately made sure the third junior sister was absent. This girl blushes as soon as she lies. How can she handle such a big scene? As for the reason, just blame it on the beauty sovereign, that red spirit fairy, who always uses force when things go wrong. Who would dare oppose her? Back when Xiao Hongling and the other elders were still siblings, she once beat up several senior brothers so badly they cried for their parents in anger. The guard surrender. You could say that throughout the Qinglan sect, apart from the soon-to-be-killed Taiwu Zhenjuan, the only one truly worthy of being called a powerhouse is Xiao Honglin. As expected, when Ling Xiao said this, the expression on Ziyun Jinren's face instantly became awkward. In that case, today, you'll explain everything yourself. Did you stare at your junior sister, Chu Yue, last night, to tempt Yi Chen to break into Lady Tian's place? Although Ziyun Jinren's tone wasn't heavy, he still exuded an unyielding authority. Instantly, the atmosphere in the room became solemn. In front of this powerful master of the divine artifact, even Ling Xiao, who has a strong backing, feels the pressure. At this moment, a sense of heaviness weighed on my heart. I really need to think this through. What kind of excuse can clear my name without getting that idiot Yi Chen killed? Meanwhile, at the back of the hall, the gardening Taoist was plotting something with Yi Chen. His master wasn't present today. If he can't prove his innocence later, I have 10,000 ways to make the disciplinary hall sentence him to death. When it comes to fighting, I naturally can't compare to Xiao Hongling, but when it comes to human relations, almost all the elders will give me some face. Once Ling Xiao is convicted, even if his master comes looking afterward, it's already too late. As soon as the words were spoken, a soft yet authoritative female voice suddenly came from the stage. Since junior sister Hongling isn't here, I'll take the liberty of making a decision in her stead. I will personally interrogate this Lin disciple. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in the enforcement hall was shocked. Even Ling Xiao himself was utterly confused. It turns out there's been an unspoken rule among the various sects of Qinglan. Whenever a chief disciple of any sect violates the rules, their own master will personally question them in front of the enforcement elder. Most importantly, it's because the Hall of Justice's Tan Huali is here. He's harsh and extreme, so by conducting the questioning themselves, they can ease up a bit. Ling Xiao immediately felt a wave of relief in his heart. Thankfully, Su Sherbua stepped forward. Otherwise, if the elders had interrogated me one after another, I would definitely be doomed to die today. But on the other side, the master and disciple didn't look pleased. They finally had the chance with Xiao Honglin absent. But who would have thought Su Mei from Fengming Peak would step forward instead? At the same time, Ling Xiao already had a foolproof plan in mind. Not only could he distance himself, but also temporarily spare Yi Chen's life. And the key to all of this lay in a woman. A man had transmigrated into the ultimate villain of a popular novel. As long as you maintain the villain's persona, you can reach the ending and ascend to immortality. From then on, you can roam freely through the ages. However, the female leads one by one have their personas collapse, all playing by their own rules. They confront the male lead head-on, and even the stunningly beautiful Qingshi Bo stands up to support them. He is extremely protective. Facing the interrogation from the sect's law enforcement hall, Ling Xiao was fully aware at this moment that when he had Chu Yue lure Yi Chen into breaking into the Celestial Maiden Hall last night, they would most likely encounter other disciples of Tiandao Peak along the way. Therefore, instead of trying to cover it up, it was better to admit it outright. All the elders present immediately sighed. They had thought that the notorious first disciple of Shenlan Peak would try to talk his way out of it. But now, he never expected that he would so readily admit it. And that Su Mei also slightly frowned, her soft and charming phoenix eyes fixed intently on Ling Xiao, as if hinting for him to completely deny everything. Ling Xiao certainly understood his meaning, but his goal was not just to clear his name, but also to save that foolish dog, Yi Chen's life. So he claimed that he just wanted his junior sister to help junior brother Yi get familiar with the sect environment, and to conveniently mediate the grudges between himself and him. However, he didn't expect that along the way, his junior sister accidentally got separated from junior brother Yi. This is how they unintentionally stumbled into the restricted area of the Phoenix's heavenly woman. Suddenly, a cold voice rang out. You are clearly trying to deliberately lure and frame you. And now you're pretending to be a good person here. It's simply shameless. Su Mei heard this. Her cheeks suddenly darkened. She turned her head to glance at Yi Chen. Then her gaze turned cold as she looked at the useless old Wang beside her. I trouble the horticulturist senior to discipline his disciple properly. Immediately, a phantom of a fire phoenix faintly appeared behind her. A terrifying aura erupted from her, enveloping the entire venue. In an instant, the faces of the alchemists were filled with wrinkles. Ling Xiao was also quite startled by this beautiful senior sister. According to the original plot, although Su Mei outwardly appears to be a disciple of the Fengming sect, she is actually the direct successor and saintess of the Hehuan sect. But unlike the demonic cultivator Yuan Yi, who hides in the Qinglan sect, she conceals her identity in Qinglan sect only to investigate clues and to find her twin sister's daughter. Therefore, in order not to expose his identity, he treats people gently and kindly. In the early part of the book, his character is that of a popular big sister who is understanding. Except for his master, Xiao Hongling, he has hardly ever had a falling out with any elder from the sect. And now, he has actually torn his face with that old hawk in gardening for himself. It seems that after several junior sisters, this Su Sherbua's character has completely fallen apart. Under Su Mei's intense and oppressive gaze, Naiyuan Yidao forced a couple of laughs and quickly pulled Yi Chen aside. Yet in his eyes, a barely noticeable killing intent flickered. Su Mei snorted coldly and refocused her gaze on Ling Xiao. Spirit Master, how do you plan to prove to the elders present that your junior sister searched for Yi Chen after they got separated? During this time, did you encounter anyone who could vouch for him? Ling Xiaowen leaned toward the ice-cold beauty in the crowd. He admitted that this move indeed had a gambling element to it. Suddenly, a cool female voice came from the crowd, I can prove that what Brother Lin said is absolutely true. Everyone turned to look in the direction of the voice. The speaker was none other than Zhu Wenming, the chief disciple of Fengming Peak. Though I have never met Brother Lin, I have already seen the truth in that heavenly Tao script. First, it revealed the hypocritical nature of Yi Chen. And you, in order to save the Qinglan sect, tried various methods to expel Yi Chen. Yet, you bore all the blame for it. You were even despised by your own master and junior sisters. In the end, you lost your own life. I, Wan Ning, have few people I respect in this life, so I take advantage of this situation. It hasn't happened yet. The dog is temporarily spared. Just as the two were about to make peace, a cold and commanding female voice suddenly came from outside the shop. Yi Chen, you thief! How dare you harm my disciple? She was once the top female senior in Central Continent, but now she's handed over a lecherous and depraved disciple. Not only does he steal her personal garments every day, he even brazenly harms his fellow junior sister. Yet, he doesn't mention a single word about it. Instead, he overpowers the male lead, ultimately shielding him. Just now, Ling Xiao was about to symbolically make peace with Yi Chen, when suddenly, a cold and commanding female voice came from outside the hall. Yi Chen, you little thief, how dare you harm my disciple? The voice, empowered by immense true energy, reverberated throughout the entire Shenshao palace. A terrifying and overwhelming sword intent instantly descended from above, enveloping the area under the stunned gazes of all. A vague, graceful figure charged forward directly. In the next second, Yi Chen was blasted away by a surge of sword intent. Blood sprayed from his mouth, tracing a brilliant arc through the air. Ling Xiao looked to the side. He saw his stunningly beautiful, drunken master. She had already stepped through the air with her snow-white long legs. Sorry, my dear disciple. I am late. With your master here, no one in the Qinglan sect dares to move. Xiao Honglin's expression was cold, a face full of indomitable energy. Then, without hesitation, she grabbed Ling Xiao's hand in public. Sensing this overwhelming aura of power, everyone in the room gasped in shock. Hundreds of eyes gazed sharply at them, only to see that the top beauty of the Central Continent's cultivation world still had a faint flush of wine red on her face. At this moment, Ling Xiao felt his scalp tingle, goosebumps rising all over his body. My god, this woman must be drunk again. The key is, Yi Chen didn't do anything at all. He just got beaten half to death by Zhu Wan yesterday. Today, he's getting knocked out by you again. What the hell is going on? Feeling the icy chill of disrespect in the palm of my hand, I, Chu Ling Xiao, felt like I could just die on the spot. Suddenly, this was a moment that broke the existing silence. My disciple Yi Chen, you are so pitiful. Wronged last night, and now inexplicably injured today. Everyone looked toward the sound. They saw a figure rushing forward to help Yi Chen up. Their expression was full of sorrow, moving everyone deeply. At this moment, Xiao Hong and Ling Jiu seemed to awaken significantly. Senior brother, please don't blame me for being ruthless. It was your disciple, Yi Chen, who bullied my disciple online. After saying this, he waved his arm in the air casually. A fierce sword aura swept across. In the distance, the ancient door of the Immortal Isle was locked tight. Suddenly, a shocking palm print appeared. In the next second, it immediately shattered into pieces, turning into points. What a terrifying sword this is. What a fierce means this is. This is the once-in-a-millennium extraordinary sword cultivator's shinbone. Witnessing the terrifying pressure of the first person. At this moment, the entire venue was once again shaken. Even that fake crying gardening master stopped howling, with a face full of jealousy. As long as I'm here, no one can harm a hair on my disciple. Looking across the vast heavens and earth, with gods and Buddhas everywhere, there is no one worthy to question my intentions. At this moment, the elders on the stage, including the headmaster, Master Ziyun, show varying degrees of embarrassment on their faces. Yet, no one dares to be the first to speak up and rebuke. What kind of international joke is this? How is this managed? Who would dare to manage this? This is the first person under the 6 saints of the Qinglan sect, the pinnacle of combat power among all generations of artisans. When under the influence of alcohol, it's as if the sword demon of the 8 desolations has possessed him. God blocks, kill God. Buddha blocks, kill Buddha. Unstoppable, 1,000 steps ahead. Everyone is focused on peace and aspiring to ascend. Who would want to reason with a delirious drunk with a sky-high standing value? In the dead silence, Ling Xiao finally couldn't help but whisper, Master, it seems you misunderstood. Upon hearing this, Xiao Honglin's phoenix eyes widened, her expression serious but miniaturized. Shut up. If I say he wants to kill you, then he wants to kill you. Hearing this, Ling Xiao couldn't help but laugh wildly in his heart. Of course, he understood that after his beautiful master struck Yi Chen, the alcohol wore off. And with everyone's reactions, he realized he had made a huge mistake. But how could the #1 sword cultivator of the eastern region be wrong? The only thing that could be wrong is this incident. Under the gaze of the entire audience, he didn't wait for Ling Zhao's response. He grabbed his hand again, and transformed into a dazzling sword light, rushing out of the hall. As the most beautiful swordmaster in Zhongzhou, he favored his perverted and lecherous waste of a disciple. Not only did he ignore sect rules for him, even the child of destiny was beaten into a muggle. On the way to Tian Envy Cliff, led by his own servant, Ling Zhao's heart gradually grew heavy. He couldn't help but sigh. The male lead, Yi Cheng, was injured by Zhu Wanling. Now he has taken a terrifying blow from Xiao Honglin. He doesn't know if he can last until the upcoming Five Veins meeting. Even if Yi Cheng makes it to the Five Veins meeting, is it possible for his strength to make a leap on the day of the competition? Like in the original story, he challenges himself vigorously. Ling Xiao is deeply skeptical about this. One must understand that under the chain reaction of the plot's collapse, his cultivation has already broken through to the pinnacle of the innate realm. Half-step golden core. Moreover, he has also received the formless advice from the world-honored Xiao Honglin. This is a competition with Yi Chen, who has just entered the foundation stage. It's undoubtedly a dragon face ride. Now, we can only hope that within the next month, the mysterious elder behind Yi Chen will reappear and create another miracle. For now, the only thing I can do is complete the 2 side quests before the dance festival. By then, I'll act more convincingly and try to recreate the plot faithfully. Before long, the master and disciple finally returned to Tianya. Seeing Ling Xiao with a pained expression, Xiao Honglin seemed to have noticed something. Do you think that what I did today was unnecessary? Under the intense gaze of the other party, combined with the negative emotions arising from the chaotic plot caused by my beautiful master's suggestion to have a spiritual awakening, Ling Xiao felt overwhelmed. Indeed, I feel that what my master did today was somewhat extreme. That day, although Yi Chen of the wind-chasing sect was not a good person, but he truly had no intention of hurting me. Yet you, master, acted without discernment. In front of all the elders, you severely injured him. I only hope you can drink less in the future, master. Over the years, with the efforts of my 3 junior sisters, my divine will has been steadily rising. And now, with your disturbance today, everything has been ruined. If it really doesn't work out, you can just wander the world like before. Go out for 3 to 5 years and come back later. Just stay out of the sect's affairs. After a wild outburst, even Ling Xiao was stunned. He couldn't believe that a worthless villain like him dared to rebuke this fiery goddess so harshly. But the words were already out. He can't manage that much. No matter how strong his mental fortitude is, he is still just an ordinary mortal. He has diligently played the villain for so many years. He has done so many things against his conscience to his junior sister. But the plot has repeatedly collapsed since Yi Chen ascended the mountain. Ling Xiao has long been unable to hold back his feelings. At this moment, even if Xiao Honglin slaps him to ashes, he didn't even blink. Who the hell said villains can't have a temper? Knowing well about Xiao Honglin's fiery temper, Ling Xiao simply closed his eyes to face the end. But to his surprise, what he didn't expect was, even after a minute had passed, he was still unharmed. He could only faintly hear the sound of a woman sobbing. Ling Xiao felt a rush of emotion. He opened his eyes and looked. He saw Xiao Honglin gazing at him with tear-filled phoenix eyes. His beautiful master, who had never known defeat in her life, the formidable Hongling fairy, was actually crying in front of him. Ling Xiao felt a bit regretful about this. He wanted to say something. The other party interrupted him. It turns out that in your eyes, your master is just an unpredictable drunkard. Just a foolish woman who embarrassed you today. Do you know, Xiao has walked the path alone in this world for a lifetime, free from all constraints, looking down upon the 9 provinces. The supreme and strongest like me can do whatever I want. I never care about anyone's opinion. You are the first disciple I accepted, and the only one I raised personally. The bond between us will never change. That's why I care about your opinion so much. But how can you see me this way? As a master, I only want to protect my disciple today. Is that really wrong? Go, your venerable one. He never wants to see you again. Xiao Honglin bit her lip tightly, and with a hint of resentment, she said. Then she stepped toward the distant cave dwelling. Ling Xiao stood there, watching that tall, beautiful figure. All the bits and pieces of the past 10 years surfaced in his mind. In an instant, he made a decision that respected his inner self. He wanted to do something that the original character Yi Chen would never dare to do in his lifetime. What? Ascending to immortality with a villain system. The plot is broken. All of that can roll aside. If a person cannot be grateful and repay kindness, then what's the difference from being a salted fish? He was originally the most renowned swordsman in Zhongzhou, yet he was brought to tears by his useless disciple. In order to keep his beloved master, who was like a mother to him. Ling Xiao made a decision that went against the wishes of his ancestors. With a determined heart, he charged forward. He embraced his master's delicate waist from behind, feeling the gentle caress of her warm hands around his waist. Xiao Hongling suddenly blushed in the suburban area. Since Ling Xiao washed her body when she was 8 years old, until now, the master and disciple have never been this peaceful again. After the banquet, Ling Xiao quickly calmed down. She let go of her hand, but as soon as the camera passed, she felt a bit shy to speak up. In this life, he was almost like a substitute for this beautiful master. To him, the latter was like a teacher and a mother. How could there be any disrespect? Thinking carefully, why do I feel inexplicably more excited? I can't possibly turn into the pervert from the original, right? As the other party withdrew their hand, Xiao Hongling detached from a certain emotion. I really have no way to deal with you, you little rascal. Let's talk about the previous question. What's the answer? Ling Xiao could only explain with a stiff face. Do you still remember that night when I served you and washed your feet? You asked me if I was willing to be by your side for a lifetime. Upon hearing this, Xiao Hongling's cheeks flushed again. Disciple is willing to stay by master's side for life, until I leave this world forever. Ling Xiao's words were extremely precise. There wasn't any deception in them. Anyway, before completing the system task and ascending, she planned to accompany her master and fellow disciples. Hearing her disciples' heartfelt expression, Xiao Hongling felt an unprecedented emotion surge in her heart. The stunningly fair celestial face is adorned with a gentle and enchanting smile. You should know that in the original story, Yi Chen tried everything but still struggled to earn a smile from the beauty. In other words, his gentleness is only for me, his eldest disciple. Is it possible that this is a kind of destiny? In an instant, Ling Xiao's thoughts surged wildly. The stolen star was struck once again. By the time he came to his senses, a flawless, snow-white leg had already reached deep affection. Didn't you just say you would serve me for life? I'm very pleased today, so I'll reward you again. Oh come on, you call this a reward? Whoever wants this reward can have it. Alright, even though I'm really unwilling. Ling Xiao still gritted his teeth and bent down. Suddenly, at that moment, a voice that made his hair stand on end rang out. By the way, I have something to tell you about how you dominated the Wuman festival, and the method you used to suppress all the young prodigies of the Qinglan sect. Damn, director, hurry and come out. This woman is changing the script again. Let me ask you, do you want to become a true master? After hearing this, Ling Xiao denied it without hesitation. He knew very well he was mediocre. Even if he tried his best in this life, it is also difficult to achieve great fruits before the end of the teaching. Ascend through the righteous path. Eternal life certainly sounds wonderful, but the chasm within cannot be crossed merely through effort. Having traversed through the hardships for over a decade, I have gained insights beyond the original text. Some things are destined to change, while others are born unchanged. Even with all my effort, I may not be able to catch a glimpse. Talents like Xiao Honglin are truly extraordinary. In less than a century, after reaching the late stage of Yuaning, they can see realms that are beyond the ordinary. They are unparalleled in the world. This much is true. Just like the three junior sisters. A March romance. 1 year to lay the foundation. 3 years to achieve the innate stage. But this Lin person, aside from looks, is quite ordinary. Even if he works hard for 100 years, he won't reach the threshold of mid-golden elixir. Although now, under the system's mischief, he has the innate enhancement of the woodlin root qualification sword. But reaching the early stage of the nascent soul is already my limit. There's nothing more pleasant than completing storyline tasks to earn ascension. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao's Dao heart became firm again. Seeing that the master still wanted to persuade him, Ling Xiao immediately took out a jug of immortal brew and presented it with both hands. Looking at the exquisite, refreshing immortal brew, Xiao Hongling's expression relaxed, showing an intoxicated look. The joy of a legendary wine master had returned. He was once the top disciple of a peerless genius. But Betty was a shameless, lecherous scoundrel. Not only did he harass the junior sister every day, he also plotted against their beautiful master while she was drunk. Just as Ling Xiao stepped out of the cave residence, he suddenly remembered something important. According to the original plot, before the dance at Wu Man, in order to crush the male lead Yi Chen and win the junior sister's heart, he became obsessed and snuck into the depths of his master's lotus cave. He stole the forbidden treasure of Shenluan Peak, the absolute heaven black mask. And it was this very opportunity. Xiao Hongling was greatly disappointed in him. She tore apart his web of laws. Self-reflection. There's no time like the present to perfectly restore the plot. Ling Xiao walked straight into the depths of the cave. Just after he entered the cave, Xiao Honglin opened her eyes on the bed. Suddenly at this moment, a faint image of a woman gradually appeared in the void. Xiao Honglin, your calculations were spot on. Your foolish disciple really did go to steal that artifact. That's not what you, Senior Yuji, should be focusing on. Did you take care of what I asked you to do? Don't worry, Xiao Honglin. That absolute black lotus has been infused by me into the fiendish demonic aura, transforming it into the true heaven-tier artifact, the 9 nether green lotus. Now your disciple can confidently and boldly use it. I guarantee he'll dominate the 5 meridian martial meet and make a name for himself. At the same time, Ling Xiao looked at the supreme forbidden artifact before him and couldn't help but feel ecstatic. Finally, everything was starting to go smoothly. As he walked out of the cave and passed through the hall, he anxiously glanced at the bed. His beautiful master was still heavily intoxicated. Ling Xiao immediately felt a surge of affection. He stepped forward and covered his master's exposed leg with a blanket. Then he gently kissed his ankle, which could be called a work of art. Just as Ling Xiao wanted to continue his exploration, his master's cheeks turned red. There was a soft sound. In an instant, Ling Xiao suddenly became fully awake. After checking the black lotus of heaven's secret in his arms, he left the cave, satisfied. At this moment, the beautiful woman on the bed opened her eyes again. A hint of shyness and ecstasy appeared on her face, as if she still wanted more. Just as she was lost in thought, a woman's playful laughter echoes from the void. Xiao Hongling, I'm truly envious of you, the most favored disciple, who also admires herself. If only you had been a bit more patient earlier, he might have done something even more thrilling. Upon hearing this, Xiao Hongling's pretty face suddenly turned solemn. Senior Yueji, stop discussing my personal affairs. We're just temporary collaborators, right? If you want to completely eliminate that Yechen, do we have to drain all his fortune? It seems there's been some progress. It's not that troublesome anymore. Just now, when your disciple came in, I smelled a trace of golden aura from the upper realm on him. Upon hearing this, Xiao Hongling was visibly stirred. Are you suggesting that my disciple is also a child of fortune from the upper realms? Not exactly. At least, not before Yi Chen paid his respects at the mountain. The night your disciple tried to steal your silk stockings, I didn't notice any trace of golden fortune on him. You see, fortune is something that it won't just disappear into thin air. There will only be some form of transfer. In other words, the golden aura around your disciple was most likely stolen from Yi Chen. In other words, thanks to your silent sacrifices as his master, Ling Xiao not only changed his fate and began to counterattack, defying the mandate of heaven, but Yi Chen's foundation is indeed powerful. Whether success is possible depends on your disciple's fortune. Yu Ji looked at Xiao Hongling beside her. Her eyes suddenly filled with a hint of pity. No one could have imagined. Today at Shenshao Palace, during the trial of Gongshen, a great destruction occurred. You, Xiao Shozhua, were deliberately late. Under the excuse of being drunk, you crippled Yi Chen to prevent him from injuring your disciple during the martial dance gathering, in order to change his fate, even if it meant being seen as a drunken fool and losing face, or being despised by your disciple. You wouldn't hesitate either, but you clearly understand the cause and effect of the future. You could have abandoned everything to seek the highest path of righteousness. So why did you choose to stay at Qinglan sect, waiting silently for years? The tall figure slowly stood up, their phoenix eyes fixed on the night sky. In my past life, I already failed him once. Now, he stands before me, real and present. How could I bear to betray him again? All those emperors, sovereigns, and supreme rulers, I, Xiao Honglin, simply don't care. I even look down on them. In this life, I leave worldly desires behind. I live only for his well-being. The man ended up as the main villain in a cheesy romance novel. Every day, he's either cuddling with junior sisters or stealing kisses. The sinful yet beautiful master now even has wicked thoughts toward the young lowly junior sister. All because he accidentally awakened the lazy villain system, playing the role of a villain. He can ascend to immortality by reaching the end. At this moment, Ling Xiao is invited to the Qinglan sect's holy Shouyuan. Ever since obtaining the system's forcibly given movement technique, his efficiency in finding you first has increased 100-fold. Rushing forward at lightning speed, instantly transformed. As soon as he landed, what caught his eye was a delicate and fragile figure. It was his junior sister, Lu Yinyin. In order to restore the villainous senior brother's persona, Ling Xiao stepped forward boldly and pulled the girl in for an embrace. But Lu Yinyin can fly without being angry. On the contrary, she has prepared a surprise for herself. With a roar that transcended the sky, a beast's cry echoed out. Suddenly, flocks of colorful fire phoenixes appeared in the azure sky. At this moment, Ling Xiao was so astonished he couldn't speak. You must know that this is an extremely rare ancient innate spirit beast. It reaches its innate state at birth. In just 1 month, it can naturally grow to the foundation establishment stage. No wonder the original author hinted in the book that the girl most likely to bring about destruction in the Qinglan sect is not Xiao Honglin. It is this inconspicuous little lowly in front of me. Upon realizing that this was a birthday gift from my junior sister, Ling Xiao's heart nearly melted. Even my sister on Earth might not remember her birthday. Yet the past she casually mentioned has been on Lu Yingyin's mind for years. In an instant, Ling Xiao no longer cared about his villain persona and directly pulled the slender figure of the girl fell into his embrace. He then leaned in and gently kissed her forehead. At that moment, a thought suddenly crossed Ling Xiao's mind. He had just cuddled with Yu Wei last night. Earlier, he had stolen a kiss from his beautiful master at Tiannuya. Now, he was treating his junior sister this way. That's way too aggressive. You know that in the original story, Yi Chen only flirts but never touches. So, the male lead, Zhong Ma, is just me. I'm just one step away from becoming an immortal. How could I give up halfway? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao quickly pulled away from the girl, as if shocked. He then resumed his usual haughty and indifferent demeanor as the villainous senior brother. Congratulations, host, on successfully restoring your persona. You have received a bottle of Bao Dan Gathering Qi Elixir. The Shimi Dan medicine has automatically been infused into your physical meridians. For the next month, you will automatically enter high-speed cultivation mode 24 hours a day. Ling Xiao was almost in shock. He nearly fainted. It's one thing for the dog system to force rewards on me. Now even the elixirs auto-load. This is just insane. Aren't you afraid you'll slap Yi Chen to death? Just as he was dazed and lost in thought, a sudden, indescribable cold touch swept over him. Ling Xiao suddenly realized something again. Not only did he lose his first kiss of the day, he was also pushed down by a little lowly. At that moment, countless thoughts surged in Ling Xiao's mind. Since she had drawn her sword first, as the ultimate villain, how could she show weakness? In an instant, courage arose within Ling Xiao. Then, with a death roll, she pinned her beneath her. As a lifelong solo, this was her first time being so intimately close to a girl. In that moment, the long-suppressed primal power erupted explosively. Just as he was about to get closer to his junior sister, suddenly, a deafening sound came from the horizon, as if a massive flood erupted from Mount Taiching. It was terrifying. At this moment, all the good fortune on Lu Yinin's face vanished. What followed was extreme astonishment. Ling Xiao suddenly felt a wave of unease. Could it be because the plot had collapsed again? Had the great demon sect attacked the mountain protection formation ahead of time? Only the sky above is filled with countless energy beams falling at a visible speed. Then they crash loudly onto the Taicang mountain, where the 6 saints of Qinglan reside. Who will slap this scumbag? On the surface, he is the esteemed chief disciple, but secretly he engages in sordid, despicable deeds. Not only did he steal the ice silk stockings from his master right in front of him, but he also crazily opened a grievance. The junior sister from the same sect is flirting. It's all because a man traversed into a fantasy adventure story. To restore his character and reach the ending, he ascends to become an immortal. He is constantly playing the role of the villainous senior brother. Just when Ling Xiao was about to have a romantic moment with his junior sister, a loud noise suddenly came from the distant Taicang mountain. Initially thinking it was another plot hole, he realized the 8 great demon sects were attacking the Qinglan sect's protective formation early. I didn't realize I was so focused on being lovey-dovey that I almost forgot the plot. According to the original storyline, on the eve of the 5 sects meeting, all the elders of the Qinglan sect, including the sect master Ziyunjinren, were urgently summoned to Mount Taicang. The purpose was to gather the authority of all the elders to activate the forbidden art, the 7 stars. The formation was to extend the life of the soon-to-fall Taiwu Jinren. According to the original story, Master Taiwu saw Duzuan as a once-in-a-millennium swordsmanship genius of the human race. In nearly 2,000 years, if it weren't for him revitalizing the sect, Qinglan's sect would have long fallen into decline. The reason why such a strong figure fell prematurely was because he constantly drained his life force. To suppress the true master of the sect's forbidden grounds, the heavenly Yin blood demon, Ling Xiao, who was the master of Gardner Daoist, the big boss. I didn't expect the plot to fall apart like this, but this part remains unchanged. Next, the 7 stars fate formation will end in failure. After the martial tournament, Master Taiwu will completely fall. But before his fall, he will summon the male protagonist, Yi Chen, who shone in the martial tournament, and guide him to the coiling dragon abyss to find the azure cloud sword. Thus, the Panlong Mountain Protection Array is activated to resist the attacks of the 8 major demon sects. At the same time, it also lays the groundwork for Yi Chen to win the hearts of many beauties. In this instance, Yi Chen also obtained a second golden opportunity, which comes from the beautiful Yuji of the last generation. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao suddenly realized something. The clear blue sword was forcibly given to him by the system. What will Yi Chen use to show off, flirt, and defend against the demon sect then? Isn't the Qinglan sect facing imminent disaster in the end? Suddenly, at this moment, Lu Yinin hugged the senior brother tightly. Based on the heavenly tool in his mind, he faintly sensed that something big was going to happen to the Qinglan sect soon. At the same time, a deep, hearty laugh suddenly echoed from Tiandao Peak. What nonsense about the 7 stars. Even their fate formation is nothing special. Looking at the 7 fading streaks of light in the sky outside the window, Taoist Yuanyi revealed a mysterious and eerie smile. Due to the 5-vein summit, each vein only had 3 spots. He had no choice but to persuade Yi Chen to give up on Li Shi. Focus on recovering. It would already be good if you can walk normally within a month. But unexpectedly, Yi Chen made a bold declaration on the spot. He claimed he could represent Tiandang Peak in the battle and dominate the field. Not only could his body recover fully, he could also break into a new realm like a fish leaping over the Dragon Gate. At this moment, Ling Xiao, who had just returned from the Sacred Beast Academy, suddenly felt a swelling in his lower abdomen. There's a faint burning pain. Could it be from the accidental discharge when lying on Enin earlier? Suddenly, the system prompt comes in, saying that due to the blessing of 10 golden chain chi gathering pills, you have automatically entered a high-speed, zero-consumption cultivation mode. This state lasts for 1 month. It cannot be turned off during this period. Congratulations to the host for advancing from great perfection in the innate stage to the early stage of the golden core. At this moment, Ling Xiao could no longer hold it in. The protagonist Yi Chen, under the guidance of a mysterious elder, has barely reached the point of cultivating his energy. Yet here I am, a minor villain with a system cheat, forced to level up. Even eating, drinking, and sleeping are all done in fast cultivation. When the time comes, as a golden core cultivator, I'll be riding a dragon to crush him. How is Yi Chen supposed to win? He's supposed to be a sleazy, lustful scumbag. Yet he became the unattainable crush of countless junior sisters. Even the 200-year-old beautiful master is fighting to get with him. But now, with the dance festival approaching, to avoid being distracted by the 3 junior sisters and the beautiful master, Ling Xiao used seclusion as an excuse to avoid them. He spent all day lying flat in his cave, doing nothing. When bored, he'd even watch footage of the junior sisters bathing. Life, in a way, was still quite leisurely. But who would have thought that after slacking off for 10 days, my own cultivation not only didn't decline but actually advanced. With the effect of those 10 gathering chi pills, I have now broken through to the mid-stage of the golden core. When people see me, they all kneel and bow, calling me Lingxian Master. Ling Xiao couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Even though he avoided the risk of his beautiful master's forced energy transfer, he still couldn't escape the system's dirty trick. But thinking of his junior sisters, Ling Xiao felt a little disappointed. He couldn't understand why, in these 10 days, the 3 junior sisters and his beautiful master hadn't visited even once. He had to know. During this time, even Senior Su sent Wan Ning to deliver miraculous medicine to show his goodwill. Suddenly at that moment, a familiar voice came from afar. It was his junior brother, Huaizhen, who had followed him since the middle years. He said that their master had summoned all the disciples of their sect to attend the dance rally at Tian New Cliff, and the list of participants had been finalized. Upon hearing this, Ling Xiao couldn't help but feel a surge of joy. According to the original storyline, he received Yi Chen's challenge at the mobilization meeting, and then tore it off in front of his junior sister and master. Later, Ling Xiao heard from Huaizhen that Tian Dao Peak actually sent Yi Chen to lead the charge. It said that during this time, he somehow got an incredible opportunity. Not only has he transformed completely, his cultivation has also advanced by leaps and bounds. He even directly advanced to the early golden core stage. After learning this news, Ling Xiao immediately cheered out loud. Yi Chen, my good boy, you didn't disappoint your dad after all. But for a waste like you to turn the tables in a desperate situation, it must have been thanks to that mysterious elder. Ling Xiao patted Huaizhen on the shoulder, suddenly remembering something. According to the original storyline, after being defeated by Yi Chen in the Dance of Shadows, I would be taken to see kingdom by my beautiful master. Eventually, in the agony of betrayal, would choose to end my life. And this junior brother Huaizhen, seeking revenge for me, would recklessly ambush Yi Chen. In the end, he was struck dead by a single blow, dying at Xiao. So Ling Xiao took out a spirit stone and handed it over. This would limit his talent and put him in danger. It would be better for him to go home and raise pigs. He hoped to change his destiny this way. At the same time, on Taicang Mountain, in order to block Yi Chen at the martial arts fair, Chu Yue finally mastered the last layer of the heart-devouring demon bird. He showed no regard for the pain of his physical body and the backlash of that evil power. On the other side, Zhang Jian saw Guiyurong from the Yamen. After 10 days without sleep, he finally succeeded in breaking through to the early stage of the golden core, and he has cultivated the ultimate mystery of the sword's absolute divine power. He is determined to defeat Yi Chen in the competition, eliminating future troubles. Soon, Ling Xiao arrived at Tian Ni Cliff. As soon as he landed, 2 graceful figures rushed towards him. Seeing his 2 junior sisters, they looked even more radiant. Their cultivation also seemed to have improved significantly. Ling Xiao felt incredibly gratified. Seeing their senior brother advance to the golden core stage, both of their faces were filled with surprise. If it were any other chief disciple, they might still believe it. But this useless senior brother has been stuck at the same level for over 10 years. So how did he suddenly break through the bottleneck now? No wonder our senior brother suddenly chose to go into seclusion, just like the script predicted. In order to protect the entire Qinglan sect, he, with his average talent, chose to fight Yi Chen to the death with his life on the line. He has such talent. After so many days, he still hasn't entered the golden elixir. He must bear a tremendous amount of pressure and hardship behind the scenes. At this moment, the two girls felt their hearts trembling uncontrollably. They couldn't care less about the gazes around them. Without thinking, they rushed into their senior brother's embrace. Ling Xiao was instantly dumbfounded. I just lay here for 10 days. Are they really that moved? He slacked off for 10 years and finally became the top disciple, lying around every day, and he can automatically train 24/7. What does it feel like to become the strongest in the world just by lying down? To change Ling Xiao's fate, Xiao Hongling finally named 3 junior sisters to attend the dance auction. But at this moment, Ling Xiao felt a sudden chill in his heart. As the mobilization meeting was about to conclude, the male lead, Yi Chen, still hadn't delivered his challenge letter. Just as he was feeling anxious, 2 junior sisters approached him, full of excitement. They paid no attention to the others around. They directly began to spar with each other. Seeing the 2 beautiful girls forcibly entering a 3-play mode again. At that moment, Ling Xiao was completely stunned. But he was already too lazy to struggle any further. Following the principle of maintaining the villain's character, he gently stroked the bodies of the 2 junior sisters. His sharp eyes locked on something in the distance. He believed that even if all the female leads' characters collapsed, Yi Chen, born a supreme prodigy, would never have any problems. But when Xiao Honglin saw the design he personally nurtured being affectionately embraced by 2 girls, a surge of nameless anger suddenly rose within him. I never expected that a woman over 200 years old would actually be jealous of young people. At this moment, a sharp and arrogant voice rang out. By the order of Yi Chen, the new chief disciple of Wu Fengshan, I challenge senior brother Ling Xiao, the chief disciple of Shen Luanfeng. At this moment, Xiao Honglin's eyes flickered on the high platform, and Gui Yorong and Chu Yuwei in the audience were also visibly alarmed. Of course, they knew what this challenge letter meant. It's hard to say whether reality will unfold as the script in their minds. This is something they will never allow to happen. However, Ling Xiao was different from everyone else present. He looked as if he had just won the lottery. He hurried forward excitedly. Here it comes. Here it comes. My good day is here. You certainly didn't disappoint your villain dad. The path to immortality is now within reach. Ling Xiao's excitement grew more and more intense. He couldn't help but curl his lips into a devilish villain smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully restoring the villain character. Reward triggered. The large cultivation experience pack is being automatically loaded for you. Congratulations, host's cultivation has successfully advanced to the golden core stage. Later, all of your attributes were greatly improved. As a series of system prompts exploded by his ears, the smile on Ling Xiao's face froze completely. Damn system, you'll die a horrible death. You. Under the stunned gaze of the entire crowd, suddenly a cold and domineering voice echoed throughout the hall. I, Shen Wenfeng, accept this challenge. Tell Yi Chen that if my disciple Ling Xiao were here, he would beat him senseless. Seeing this domineering, beautiful master personally step in, the disciples of Shenluan Peak were riled up, their morale soaring. Suddenly, 2 graceful figures rushed in front of Xiao Honglin. I, Yorong, humbly dare to ask master to retract this order. Yi Chen's provocation this time must be well prepared. It would be better if I take the challenge on behalf of senior brother. I, Yorong, will fight to the death and settle this matter. I, Yue, also volunteer to accept this battle for senior brother. Defeat Yi Chen and restore the prestige of Shenluan. In an instant, everyone was stunned. 2 beautiful junior sisters simultaneously volunteered to fight for senior brother. How touching and heartfelt this is. It's just a pity that the Ling Xiao battle is already decided. This time, no matter what, the plot must not go off course. All the disciples gazed at this fearless and commanding senior brother. Suddenly, there was an overwhelming feeling of ambition in my heart, filled with fighting spirit. In an instant, countless messages spread out. The Qinglan sect takes charge. Senior brother Shenluan from the Divine Luan Peak has failed. Brother Lin from Shenluan Peak is going to smash Yi Chen's head. At the same time, Feng Ming is sealed off. Zhu Wanning, seeing the situation, couldn't help but be moved. That Yi Chen possesses a destiny aura, and has a mysterious master backing him. With Ling Xiao's strength, there's no doubt it's like stopping a chariot with his bare hands. But this courage, Wan Ning deeply admired. Let me go to battle for you in this fight. I hope to turn your fate around in this life. After saying this, Zhu Wan Ning's expression suddenly became sharp. Then she sent a letter of divorce to Tiangang Peak. She declared that she would become Yi Cheng's first rival. Who would have thought that this scoundrel villain could provoke countless female leads to compete for jealousy? Just a second ago, she was still scolding her female disciple to keep her distance. The next moment, he publicly took the man's hand. Seeing his master suddenly lose his temper, Ling Xiao felt a stir of doubt. According to the original work, the beautiful master had no taboos. Seeing a junior sister with him, she would at most tease him. But now, why was she so irritable? Beside them, Guiyurong and Chu Yu. Wei Yi's beautiful eyes widened as countless complex emotions gradually filled her heart. One was her most revered and admired master. The other was the only senior brother she had ever loved. How could they possibly be holding hands? However, Xiao Honglin acted as if no one else was around, pulling Ling Xiao away before she could react. In just a moment, they had returned to Tian New Cliff. Xiao Hongling pouted with a face full of resentment. I see you being quite lively in front of the junior sisters. Why do you suddenly change into a different person when it's just me? What the hell, isn't that obvious? You know who Xiao Hongling is, right? Can I casually tease the junior sisters like this? Can I dare do that with you? Even if it's to maintain my villainous persona. Even in the original work, Ling Xiao wouldn't dare either. After Ling Xiao's half-hearted response, the smile on Xiao Hongling's face visibly faded a bit. The next second, she tilted her head back and downed the entire jar of wine. Ling Xiao couldn't help but admit that in this slightly tipsy state, this was when the most beautiful woman in the eastern region was at her most captivating. That night, in the Lotus Cave, he saw his beautiful master in this state, and that's why he made that slightly defiant move. Just as Ling Xiao's thoughts were wandering, an even more startling scene occurred. Xiao Hongling suddenly extended her jade-like hand and placed it on his chest. Disciple, don't move. Let me take a look. At that moment, Ling Xiao finally realized something was wrong. Isn't this the line he often says to a few of his junior sisters? Why is it that your junior sisters can touch me, but I can't touch them? It seems I must punish you, you little brat. The next moment, Ling Xiao felt the world spinning. The scenery around him was rapidly retreating, as if he had entered an endless time-space tunnel. By the time he came to his senses, he found himself inside the sword realm created by Xiao Honglin. As your master, I have already foreseen that Yi Chen had the guidance of an expert. Not only did he reach the golden core stage, but his swordsmanship has also advanced by leaps and bounds. If you wish to defeat him, you still need to train harder. Your master hasn't sparred with anyone in a long time. Use the formless sword body I bestowed upon you to fully please your master. In the next moment, Ling Xiao suddenly sensed a terrifying and overwhelming sword intent descending from the sky. It enveloped his entire body. Ling Xiao could clearly feel that this sword intent was mixed with Li Nan's killing intent. It was obvious the other party was serious. Driven by instinct, Ling Xiao sent his spirit sword towards Meng Zhe. With great effort, he slashed away. As the twin swords clashed, a deafening sound echoed out. Ling Xiao felt his hands go numb. His internal organs churned and trembled, as if his entire body was about to be torn apart. Is this the terrifying sword pressure that the first person experiences? At this moment, despair filled Ling Xiao's heart. Once again, I recall the fear of being overwhelmed by this woman's sword intent. Is she really going to stab me with her sword again? But what is coming toward me is not that immortal sword, the Qinghuan. Instead, it's a slender peach blossom finger. Does this woman look down on us that much? It turns out that Xiao Honglin has temporarily sealed all her sword techniques and cultivation. Her sword intent has also been suppressed to the same level as Ling Xiao. Yet she can easily crush sword cultivators with a branch that has a sword. In close combat swordplay, life and death are decided in an instant. Unless one can punish with a single thought, no sword technique or mystical power is as effective as exploiting the swordsman's actions. Xiao Hongling's maneuvers seem unconventional, but in reality, they are intricate calculations of swordsmanship. At this moment, Ling Xiao's expression is filled with excitement. Shout loudly, Master, I have completely understood. Damn, I was almost crushed to death. I had no choice. Hearing this, Xiao Honglin's tense and flawless face finally showed a hint of satisfaction. Since you've had your epiphany, today, I'll teach you another ultimate technique. It will elevate your swordsmanship to new heights. Only weaklings rely on skills. Real men should enjoy the benefits. The beautiful sovereign spent 10 years of her life to create a reverse heaven sword technique just for me. The goal was to counter the male lead Yi Chen's 5-element swordsmanship. According to the original story, Yi Chen has officially grasped the great 5 elements destruction sword taught by the mysterious elder. Only then did he become unstoppable and invincible on the Wu Manhui stage. As a result, I suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of Yi Chen. In the end, I was disgraced. I took my own life at the Tiannu cliff. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao suddenly trembled with rage. How could the master know that Yi Chen had practiced the five-element sword technique? Xiao Honglin's cheeks were slightly flushed. She claimed that during her seclusion at Ling Xiao, she had met Yi Chen's master, Master Gardener. But seeing her like this, Ling Xiao became even more cautious. He knew this master too well. Despite Hongling Fairy's unparalleled dominance, whenever she got excited or shy, she would stutter. So he must be hiding something about this matter, and the real reason behind it might also be the reason for his change in character. Just as Xiao Honglin was preparing to impart the secret technique, he suddenly found that living vines were entangling his lower body. At this moment, he had temporarily sealed his own cultivation abilities. After being ambushed successfully, he truly found it difficult to break free. This is the innate hidden with spiritual root of the disciple, waiting for half a lifetime of divine ability to advance to the golden core. The mystical forest of myriad phenomena is entangled in a dead corner. Being touched and entangled by this strange object, Xiao Hongling's long legs kept swinging, immediately followed by a series of delicate groans. Ling Xiao was also startled. He quickly used his will to forcefully loosen the restraints. The dog system, let's see what useless rewards you've given me. Still dare to claim you're a serious system? Then Ling Xiao took the initiative. He knelt on both knees. Facing the beautiful person whose anger was about to erupt, he said, I cannot coexist with the inner servant. Obey my divine will. Crush his five-element sword technique. I want to personally smash his dog head. As time flew by in the secret realm, Ling Xiao imitated the sword techniques. After a few tries, he easily learned this magical sword technique. Yet on the surface, he forced a smile and thanked his master for the sword. But can this sword technique really defeat Yi Chen's five-element sword technique? Upon hearing this, Xiao Honglin furrowed her brows slightly. Ing looks displeased. I have spent 10 long years studying on this Tianyu cliff to find a way to counter the five-element sword technique. Are you questioning my abilities? At this moment, Ling Xiao seems to have noticed something suspicious. That Yi Chen has only just arrived on the mountain. Why were you studying this sword technique 10 years ago? Xiao Honglin raises her eyebrows slightly. It's starting to reveal its secrets again. You just need to memorize this set of sword techniques. Practice more. But when that little thief Yi Chen uses the five elements destruction sword, you must use this method to defeat him in one blow. You must not let down your master's 10 years of hard work. On the edge of the cliff at Tiandang Peak, Yi Chen can be seen exuding the aura of a powerful fighter. Now he, entering the hospital, has already crushed all the inner disciples of Tiandang Peak, successfully ranked among the top disciples. Next, I will sweep through the remaining 4 veins, achieving the top position. This Qinglan sect's talent ranking is low. I will crush that dog. Ling Xiao will be completely underfoot. Let his junior disciples and masters take a good look at who the man they should truly admire is. And that's not all. After Wu Man wins the dance competition, he will personally approach Long Shoufeng. He'll challenge Jiang Yuan, who is isolated at Wudao Cliff. The entire cultivation world of the Eastern Domain can only have one prodigy, Yi Chen. And the reason he has this confidence, all of this comes from the support of the mysterious elder behind him. At this moment, a disciple from Tiandang Peak hurriedly ran over to report that Shenluan Peak had accepted the challenge. He also said they want to blow up the night watchman and attack you. Dog-headed Ling Xiao. This brat is going too far. Yi Chen immediately flew into a rage. He unsheathed his sword towards the sky, with violent intent. But just as his anger had not yet subsided, another disciple came forward to report. He said that Zhu Wanming, the top prodigy from the last generation, had also come to issue a challenge. Yi Chen was about to say something when another disciple rushed in. He said that Lu Yingying from Shenlan Peak wanted to challenge him to a fight to the death. Yi Chen was shaken by this series of events. Have these women gone crazy? Only weaklings rely on skill. Real men live off others. To prevent me from dying miserably at the male lead sword, my master didn't hesitate to sacrifice 10 years of lifespan to create a heaven-defying sword technique. The second junior sister stopped eating and drinking just to perfect the mastery of the sword technique. The third junior sister risked her life learning demonic sound techniques with half a lifetime of darkness. It's all because they've secured great power for their future. They know that the protagonist Yi Chen is no good. In this life, I'm determined to protect my senior brother. At this moment, a tall woman stands with her hands behind her back atop the celestial maiden cliff, her stunningly beautiful face full of sorrow and melancholy. All these years, I've made countless preparations for you. The upcoming 5 Veins gathering will be without you. Just give it your all. Can you rewrite destiny? It all hinges on this battle. Suddenly, in the midst of chaos, an apology gradually materializes in the void. You, who have never been idle, have been trapped in this heavenly lady's hall for a whole decade just to figure out the sword technique to restrain that leaf deity's powers. If I were a man, and a woman treated me so well, the universe could collapse, and the heavens could fall. I would stay by her side until the very last moment. Unfortunately, that kid has a terrifying talent for swordsmanship, but he doesn't realize who treats him the best in this world. Yi Ji was about to continue gossiping when she noticed the expression of the person in front of her was not good, so she quickly changed the topic. Are you really sure that Yi Chen won't be able to resist temptation and enter the demonic cave on the 3rd level of the sword tomb to pick up that demonic sword? Xiao Honglin snorted coldly. In a few days, the sect leader will summon disciples from the 5 branches to the sword tomb. They will forge their own life-bound spirit swords. This will lay a stronger foundation for the upcoming 5 sects martial gathering. At that time, Yi Chen will definitely break into the demonic cave. You just need to quietly lie on that demon sword and wait for him to take the bait. Then, drive a wedge between him and the mysterious master behind him. Ultimately, lead Yi Chen down the path of destruction. Meanwhile, Shenluan Fengmei, lying in bed, Ling Xiao suddenly received a system notification. Congratulations to the host for accepting Yi Chen's challenge. Successfully unlocked the dance festival plot. After hearing this, Ling Xiao felt a bit relieved. From the looks of it, the dam system seems to approve of the current storyline's progress. Next, all he has to do is follow the plan and lose to Yi Chen at the dance festival. After that, I became infuriated. I summoned the stolen ultimate black face. Then I was grounded by the beautiful corpse at the cliff. Ultimately, I was left in despair. I chose to end my own life. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao suddenly felt refreshed. The ascent of the villain, Luo Luo, is just a step away. But what followed was a faint sense of melancholy. It seems like my time in this world is running out. After ascending, I may never be able to return to this world again. I may never see my junior sisters and the beautiful master again. People are not without feelings. After living together for over a decade, they have long entered Ling Xiao's heart. But just as he was feeling troubled, a voice suddenly came from outside the door. It was his junior, Huaizhen. Big brother, it's bad. The 4th senior sister has gone to Tiandang Peak to fight Yi Chen to the death. Upon hearing this, Ling Xiao's body shook. Without saying a word, hurry and raced towards Tiandang Peak. At the same time, within Tiandang Wind, a delicate and frail young girl was sprawled on the ground. Her body was covered in bloody holes, as if pierced by some terrifying sharp blade. Looking at the girl before him in such a sorry state, Yi Chen couldn't help but sneer coldly. Your petty tricks. Dare to show off before an expert? Stop this futile struggle. Girl, I am no longer who I used to be. Even your 2nd senior sister Gui Yulong is no match for me, let alone a little girl like you. This is your last chance. Kneel and apologize to me. Otherwise, you have provoked a life and death battle with me this time. With many disciples from Tiandao Peak as witnesses, I will crush you right here. Elder Tang, the enforcer, will not be able to stop me. Lu Yinyin endured the excruciating pain, responding to you word by word. You think you're unmatched in grace and aura, noble beyond compare. But without that expert supporting you from behind, you're worse than a pig or dog. Upon hearing this, Yi Chen was immediately taken aback. He never expected this girl to know his secret. In an instant, his killing intent surged. He must raise the most terrifying Great 5 Elements destruction sword to completely destroy the girl before him, from her body to her soul. Has anyone ever fought for your life in this lifetime? My junior sister is the pride of our sect, yet I am just seen as a useless person by others. We were originally 2 people with no blood relation, but he fought alone against everyone, keeping it a secret, the chosen one, only to protect me, the senior brother, from the slaughter by the male lead, Yi Chen, because he has already foreseen the future in his mind. Learning that I will be humiliated by Yi Chen at the dance competition, ultimately, I will be disgraced, and I will sever my own meridians and die. But today's Yi Chen is no longer the same as before. Not only has she gained an incredible opportunity, but her realm has also made remarkable progress. Even while severely injured, with her true aid exhausted, Lu Yingying remains uncompromising, fighting to the end. She vows to protect her senior brother by Yueguang with her life. Facing Yi Chen's 5 elements cleaving sword, Lu Yingying struggles to hold her body up, but she's already too weak to resist. Is this the end for her? Is she saying goodbye to senior brother? Just then, a voice angrily shouted from above. Yi Cheng, you dog. What kind of man bullies women, you bastard? Grandpa, today I will definitely blow your dog's head off. Seeing the man she admired the most appear like a heavenly god descending to earth, Lu Yinyin could no longer contain her emotions. Everything was just like in her childhood. No matter what trouble she caused, paused. There would always be her senior brother to save the day. Seeing the man she hated the most right in front of her, Yi Chen gritted his teeth. Murderous intent surged within his chest. He could clearly sense that Ling Xiao had grown much stronger. His cultivation had also reached the peak of the golden core stage. In an instant, his gaze turned cold. He pushed the sword intent of the 5 elements to its limit. With a slash through the air, he took the initiative to strike at Ling Xiao. In the blink of an eye, the two clashed fiercely. The leading disciples of 2 sects clash before the 5 sects dance. At this moment, all disciples from the Tian Dangfeng sect, including Lu Yingying, are utterly shocked. They look up toward the sky. It seems that Ling Xiao doesn't even bother to draw his sword, taking the attack head-on. His figure, like a drunken immortal, sways gracefully. He perfectly dodged the intense sword web shot by Yi Chen. Right after, countless vines came whistling towards him. In the next second, Yi Chen was trapped in a space woven by countless vines. After enduring dozens of strikes from the vines, Yi Chen endured the pain and gathered his strength. He catalyzed his sword and managed to escape. He hadn't expected that even with his greatly increased power, he would still be at a disadvantage. How did senior brother become so strong? That's not how it was written in the script. Lu Yinyin was both shocked and relieved at the same time. Under the gaze of hundreds of eyes in the crowd, Ling Xiao's expression was grim, his tone icy, as he coldly called out, "Yi Chen, listen to me carefully. You, who call yourself the chosen one, are nothing but a songstress. I'll spare your life for now. You can jump around for another half a month. Wu Man's dance will make you regret it. Congratulations to the host for successfully restoring the villain persona. Reward triggered. 10 dragon sword garments, allowing instant teleportation within 1,000 miles. It's not the binding effect of the barrier formation. Once again, the system reward notification sounded in my ears. But this time, Ling Xiao still had a cold expression, like the Grim Reaper. He watched his most cherished little junior sister being bullied. This time, he was truly angry. Even this big villain couldn't bear to hurt her. How did Yi Chen manage to fight? In fact, she had already wanted to kill Yi Chen just now. But then she thought, if she kills them now, all her previous efforts would be wasted. Becoming immortal is just too damn hard. But as Ling Xiao was about to walk toward his junior sister, out of the corner of his eye, he saw that bastard Yi Chen charging at him. As expected of you, Yi Outyan, since you want to play, I'll accompany you today. Ling Xiao's heart tightened instantly. He saw the Lingjian Yunmeng rising straight up. Then it broke through the air. Seeing Yi Chen unleash that terrifying Great 5 Elements destruction sword, the onlookers instinctively took a step back. Because once this move is unleashed, it would surely bring about utter destruction. Yet Ling Xiao remained calm. After confirming that the junior sister was unharmed, he cast a sharp gaze towards Yi Chen, knowing full well that after a deadly battle with Yi Chen, regardless of who wins or loses, the plot would completely collapse, and his dream of becoming an immortal and returning home would be utterly shattered. But he actually felt a sense of relief. I ask Master for guidance. You raised me for many years. This time, I've decided to listen to you. I'll use all my strength to unleash that move. Clearly, I'm considered trash by the sect, but I scared the so-called heavens chosen into running away in panic. Just now, watching Ling Xiao emanate an extremely long and profound sword shadow, Yi Chen couldn't help but feel a tightness in his heart. Suddenly, a mysterious old man's voice came from the ring. Young friend, you are currently heavily injured. Now is not the time to use the Great 5 Elements destruction sword. A wise man avoids immediate loss. Quickly withdraw first. Let me train you in secret. In 10 days to half a month, we'll almost certainly capture him. But when Yi Chen heard this, he only slightly trembled. After all, he had defeated the former chief of Tiangang Peak with just one move. Even the horticultural Taoist began to see him in a new light. So why would he fear this guy, who only has an empty reputation? However, what he never expected was, the usually kind and mysterious old man suddenly burst into foul language. You pig-headed fool. Let me tell you the truth. When you fought that boy earlier, every time you were seriously injured, he stole part of your luck. Hidden in the Qinglan sect. He's been intercepting your luck all along. It is this person right in front of you. And when he first fought you during the apprenticeship ceremony, I did not sense the slightest hint of killing intent from him. So even though you were at a disadvantage that day, I quietly observed, and did not intervene. But now this person's killing intent has reached its peak. If he wins this time, Killer thought that a person's gaze can't be hidden. If you remain stubborn, you might as well throw away the soul ring. Even if it means I admit defeat. Yi Chen listened, and his face instantly turned pale. He looked at the increasingly vast sword aura of Ling Xiao before him, and for a moment, fear truly arose in his heart. After speaking, he gritted his teeth. He could no longer care about his reputation as the top disciple. He ran full speed toward the horticulturist's palace. This action immediately shocked the entire crowd. No one expected the invincible Chief Yi to flee in fear of battle. Ling Xiao was also caught off guard. For someone as reckless as Yi Chen, who had mastered the 5 elements sword technique at the height of his power, he retreated without even fighting. In the next moment, he instantly appeared before Lu Yinyin. Seeing the shocking sword wounds on her body, Ling Xiao felt a sharp pain in his heart. He quickly took out the healing medicine he'd earned from the system over the years to stop her bleeding. At a time like this, why the hell is he still playing the villain? Right now, he just wishes he could pull his junior sister into his arms. Yinyin really likes this side of senior brother. Can you stop pretending to be so fierce from now on? Hearing this, Ling Xiao's heart trembled intensely. As a tough, straightforward guy, his eyes were starting to heat up. Thinking of how he had spent all these years trying to play the villain, he did all kinds of excessive things to the junior sisters. It made his heart twist with pain. Now, Ling Xiao finally fully understands. The delicate and sensitive junior sister had already seen through his facade. The reason she didn't react the same way as in the original story was simply because she deeply loved the warm and kind senior brother from their childhood, and that was his true self. In an instant, Ling Xiao was overwhelmed with mixed emotions. He suppressed his emotions and gently comforted the young girl in his arms. Senior brother will take you home. Master and the 2 senior sisters are at home. Everyone will take good care of you. At this moment, inside the lotus cave at Tiannu Cliff, Xiao Honglin gazed solemnly at his injured young disciple lying on the bed. His expression was grave. He couldn't understand why he harbored such hatred for Yi Chen. I have to fight him to the death before the dance party. Suddenly, a weak voice came through. It seemed that they didn't notice their master was right beside them. Big brother, I want a hug. I can't believe you're saying that right now. Ling Xiao's heart sank. He quickly looked at the beautiful master beside him. Forget it. Forget it. Junior sister has just encountered a setback. As the elder brother, just give her a hug. Offer a little comfort. After saying this, Xiao Hongling gritted her teeth and automatically stepped aside. But Lu Yinyin took it even further, directly asking her master to temporarily avoid her. I want to spend time alone with senior brother. Xiao Hongling's pair of phoenix eyes instantly turned dull. In the end, she could only let out a long sigh, choosing to compromise. He has always been one to take the soft approach over the hard one, yet he is particularly fond of the cute girl approach. As she watched the master leave with a flick of his sleeve, Luoying suddenly, wiping away tears, turning sorrow into laughter. Big brother is finally sobbing now. This operation has completely confused Ling Xiao. 4th junior sister, you're quite the seasoned actress now. Are you still that innocent little girl from back then? A scumbag has become the white moonlight for millions of beauties. Not because he's handsome, but really, it's bad enough. Not only did he steal his master's silk stockings to his face, but he also boldly barged into his junior sister's bathing area. It's because his role is the big villain in a light novel. He can only restore the villain's persona and reach the end to ascend to immortality, return to Earth. But unexpectedly, Yuan Shu, the female lead, completely breaks the mold. As the male lead, the harem is falling for this scumbag. Even the little lowly is captivated, burning with desire. Looking at the white moonlight before him, Master Brother Lu Yingying's delicate face draws closer and closer. Soon, the two embrace in the master's bedroom. Ling Xiao thought that even if something unexpected happened, it would be with the other 2 junior sisters or even the master. But he never imagined it would be with his most beloved junior sister. Just as the atmosphere was heating up, Lu Yingying suddenly pushed her away. With a face full of resentment, she said, "Senior brother, why are you so skilled at this? So your first kiss must have been with the 2 senior sisters, right?" Ling Xiao was instantly stunned, staring at the oversized baby in front of him, completely at a loss for words. Suddenly, a system prompt came through. Congratulations, host. You have successfully restored the villain's persona. Trigger reward. Beiming devouring heaven immortal technique. After refining, it can devour all the energy in the world, even convert others' techniques for personal use. After soothing the junior sister, Ling Xiao hurried back to his dormitory. His mind was almost about to explode. He tolerated the system forcefully giving him divine spells before. Now it directly gives him a 5th grade technique from the upper realm. Not only can it seize others' cultivation, but also devour their essence. When combined with his formless sword body, it's truly unparalleled. Although he's only at the peak of the golden core stage now, he has already become a terrifying black hole in the cultivation world. He's just one step away from becoming immortal. But the system insisted on increasing the game's difficulty. Ling Xiao, furious, punched the ground. Due to the host's display of impotent rage, the system deemed the villain character restored. Successfully obtained a reward. Ice Jade soft bed. Long-term sleep on it can increase internal energy limit and restore true essence faster. As the prompt sounded in his mind, Ling Xiao's lips curled into a faint, bitter smile. In web novels, the protagonists receive rewards only after completing tasks. Here I am, lying flat and doing nothing the whole time, occasionally doing some risque things, and yet I can earn a pile of incredible rewards. But right now, I have no choice. Ever since a few junior sisters and even my master entered my heart, my state of mind has quietly begun to change, especially since the junior sister stood up for herself and got injured by Yi Chen. His unwavering Dao heart was nearly shattered in half. If that Yi Chen hadn't escaped, I'm afraid he would have really killed him himself. The male lead has played the villain for over a decade, just one step away from the finish line. If he doesn't do his best to complete the storyline of the dance, he will absolutely not be satisfied. Even if the final result is failure, there will be no regrets. But what Ling Xiao doesn't know is, at this moment, at Longsho Peak's Wudao office, another traveler has quietly appeared. This person is the former chief of Longsho Peak, and also the personal disciple of sect leader Ziyunjinren, the strongest sword cultivator, ranked first on the Tianjiao list for years. Your 60-year confinement has ended. This year's dance festival, are you really not going? Faced with Ziyunjinren's persuasion, Jiang Yuan said that even if he went, he wouldn't win first place. So why bother being someone else's stepping stone? Besides, he has more important things to do. After the dance festival, that day, the blood demon would leave the windbreaker to him. Jiang Yuan's time to save the sect is running out. But upon learning that Yi Chen was defeated by Ling Xiao of Divine Luan Peak, Jiang Yuan's eyes widened in disbelief. His face was filled with incredulity. The invincible Yi Chen actually lost to a villain named Luo Luo. Thinking of this, Jiang Yuan knelt down on both knees directly. He earnestly requested the master to dance after the grand event before meeting the Lord Father. Faced with the request of his beloved disciple, Master Ziyun let out a long sigh. 60 years ago, he acted unyieldingly and bound him. Now, how could it matter to go against a few elders again? After bowing to the master, Jiang Yuan's gaze regained its firmness. Keep practicing the sword. Suddenly, a system notification came. Congratulations to the host for practicing the sword 100,000 times. Reward: Heaven Tier Supreme Heavenly Gang Sword Technique. But faced with such a heaven-defying reward, Jiang Yuan was full of displeasure. He has been practicing swordsmanship on the Enlightenment Cliff for 60 years. The sword techniques he's obtained are already countless. What he needs most now is cultivation rewards. We need to exterminate the heavenly Yin blood demon before the 8 demonic sects attack the mountain. With my current cultivation at the mid-phase of the Dharma body realm, it's still far from enough. Others cross over and become the protagonist. I cross over and become a weakling. According to the original plot, I wouldn't survive past episode 3. Not long after, the sect was brutally invaded by the 8 demonic clans. My fellow disciples and I fought to the death to defend it. We were slain in the fierce battle. Meanwhile, that protagonist Yi Chen was busy romancing women. To rewrite fate and save my sect, I didn't hesitate to take a blade and castrate myself. I accidentally awakened the sword drawing system, which made me stronger. Swinging my sword 100,000 times each day grants me rewards. But the price I pay is the life of my younger brother. For the next 10 years, I followed the trajectory of my scripted life. Facing 4 opponents at once in the martial arts competition, I became a legendary champion, and my fame spread throughout the entire eastern region of the cultivation world. But even so, I am still destined to not be the main character, because back when Yi Chen was 7, I had plotted to assassinate him multiple times, but each time there would be an accident. I returned empty-handed. As for Yi Chen, being the destined child, he is favored by the way of heaven. It's hard to hurt them. After accepting reality, I set my sights on the future Empress of Beijing, Yi Xian. I successfully lured her from the western wastelands to my apartment. But when we stayed at an inn at the foot of the Qinglan sect mountain, a young boy secretly rescued Yi Xian. By the time I realized and went after them, the two had already hidden inside a tavern. Inside sat a woman who made me lower my head. It was Xiao Honglin from the Shenmenfang. It wasn't until then that I realized the boy was actually another main character. He was even on par with Yi Chen in status. Yet this character was not mentioned in the original work, so I decided to steer clear of these two extraordinary beings. Let them fight it out among themselves. After that, I followed the script and secretly released the demoness imprisoned in the demon suppression tower. I was confined by the sect leader for 60 years. All of this was to diligently cultivate my swordsmanship. I received system rewards as a Taoist. I helped the sect repel the invasion of the 8 great demon sects. Now, my cultivation has succeeded, and I have entered the realm of Dharma manifestation. Possessing 89 incredibly powerful sword techniques, I am just one step away from becoming a sword immortal. But now my master tells me that the male protagonist, Yi Chen, has been beaten and is fleeing in panic. It was ordered by that idle senior brother from Shenluan Peak. Thinking of this, Jiang Yuan seems to sense something. However, he still decides to first watch the conclusion of the Five Veins dance. If there really is a mistake with the boundary, I will personally go to the sword tomb and draw that azure blue sword. I will defend my sect with my own strength. At the same time, on the other side, in order to give an explanation for the villain role I've played for over a decade, Ling Xiao begins to recall the details of the upcoming plot. Right now, I have already received Yi Chen's challenge letter. After 3 minor magistrate subplots, comes the major event of the dance festival. As for the original rebellion and the blood demon breaking through the seal after the dance festival, I had already committed suicide by then. It has nothing to do with me, and the first side story is the Sword Tomb Secret Realm trial. In the original, I, the senior brother, was too cowardly to participate. At that time, Yi Chen and Zhu Wanning were practicing the azure blue twin swords together, and developed feelings for each other. So this side quest was skipped entirely, saving a lot of effort. As for the next 2 side quests, they involved the second and third junior sisters respectively. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao couldn't help but let out a bitter smile, because the original work allows the female leads to develop a dislike for the villain Ling Xiao through various subplots. As a result, they see their junior sisters throw themselves into Yi Chen's arms. Filled with resentment, they choose to end their lives by tearing apart at the cliff. In the second subplot, after receiving a challenge letter from Yi Chen, she panics uncontrollably. So, she leads her junior sister, who is holding hands with her, to the alchemy tower to steal the Bodhi spirit pill, trying to temporarily enhance her true essence and magical power. Who would have thought that Yi Chen had installed surveillance in the Dan Tower and thoroughly recorded his own criminal acts? In the end, he was caught red-handed. His reputation was ruined. This also laid the groundwork for his future isolation. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao was filled with confidence. He instantly regained his full energy, but the next morning, just after waking up, he heard the voice of his junior, Huaizhen, outside the door, saying that the opening of the sword tomb was postponed until after the Five Peaks meeting. Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment. Damn it, could the plot be changing again? After all, Jiang Yuan, the secret weapon of Longzhou Peak, had already refused to participate in the Dance of the Five Peaks, which had already deviated from the original storyline. Then Huaizhen said that the alchemy lecture scheduled for 3 days later was moved up to today. It will be co-hosted by senior brother Su from Longzhou Peak and senior sister Chu from their own sect. Ling Xiao felt a chill run down his spine after hearing that. For once, he made a rare, superstitious prayer. Heavens, please help me. The upcoming plot can't go off the rails again. A man's sole purpose in life is to commit suicide because his character is the main villain in a power fantasy novel. Only by playing the villain and reaching the end can one ascend to immortality. From then on, freely roam the myriad worlds. To prevent the plot from deviating again, Ling Xiao decided to first stage a betrayal scene. At this moment, inside the Purple Seal Pill Tower on Dragonhead Peak, a guest elder, a second-rank alchemist, was explaining pill acupuncture points. As he spoke, his gaze suddenly swept toward a young man. This chief of the Shenmen Feng faction. Please take this Bodhi Forest True Pill and show it to the fellow disciples. Be sure not to break it. After saying that, the elder Xuanji transformed into a streak of light and left. Ling Xiao's face was instantly filled with joy. Currently, everything is unfolding according to the original plot. Since the chief elder of the Zine Pill Tower is away, this guest elder will temporarily take over. The latter slacked off for a bit and then slipped away. This conveniently gave him the opportunity to steal the elixirs. However, Ling Xiao looked around but saw no sign of Yi Chen. According to the original plot, he planned to secretly hide the elixirs after showing them. But Yi Chen noticed him, making him abandon the idea. He planned to steal the pills again while the third junior sister was guarding the pill pavilion at night. But now the protagonist isn't here. How can the plot continue? So Lin Xiao had no choice but to call customer service. This time, the lousy system actually responded. The host just needs to restore his own character plot. As for everything else, there's no need to worry. After receiving assurances from the dog system, Lin Xiao symbolically demonstrated it to the disciples present.